Wasn't that the most Reds loss ever? 1-0 to the Phillies. We'll get into that. Plus, the silver lining from last night's game and so much more right now on First Word.
Welcome to First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show, breaking down the biggest moments and the stories shaping Cincinnati sports with analysis that cuts through. First Word, setting the agenda in Cincinnati sports.
Welcome in to a fired up Friday edition of First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa, Contipelli, and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, every single weekday, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown, and plenty to dive into. We have Bengals, we have Dexter Lawrence, we have a guy coming on that thinks that Nick Krall should be sayonara Krall ahead of the trade deadline, and much, much more. But let's start with the Reds yesterday. 1-0, a game that honestly kind of fits what this season has been, certainly what the past 2+ months have been for the Cincinnati Reds, where one part of their team, in this case, two parts of their team, handle business. And the entire pitching staff, led by Brady Singer, gets it done. And yet the Reds finish with a whopping 3 hits. They get 2 runners on in the 9th. It feels like maybe they could, should, would walk it off. But Marisa, Contipelli, it didn't happen.
It didn't, and we talked about this yesterday of following up a game after you have a strong offensive outing like they did Thursday night, putting up 11 on the scoreboard. Well, following a win of 7 or more runs with a loss of 2 or fewer runs, this is now the 8th time that it's happened. And this
crazy.
Also the 8th time this season that they have been shut out. And so it's baffling at times just how up and down and kind of inconsistent this lineup has truly been.
Absolutely. And it feels like not just the game last night was representation of this Reds team, but the whole series and just the roller coaster of this lineup and this offense. I mean, looking at where they've had success on the year, the home run numbers are near the top of the league. And it's because of games like Game 2 of this series where so many people contribute. And I know myself and a lot of Reds fans were thinking it, and it's because of exactly what you were saying. Did they waste their runs in Game 2? And it feels like it's not a joke with this Reds team. When they score that much and everyone is hot and contributes, then the next game, really no one gets on base. And that was the struggle last night. There was no point in that game where the Reds even really had a chance to attack. It was until the 9th where they had multiple guys in scoring position, and there was just never really a lot of belief that they were going to win that series last night. And that's the thing with this team, is it happens more often than not where you're working through a game and you look up and it's the 6th, 7th inning, and there hasn't been a real threat for this Reds team.
Runners on first and second, no out, down 1-0 in the 9th. I was, and I'm dumb for thinking this, I was like, oh, I think they're going to do it. Part of me really thought that. I was like, there's no outs. It wasn't 2 outs. Yeah. And yes, Suarez was at the plate. And you want to talk about a guy really struggling right now. 3 strikeouts yesterday. His at-bat in the 9th, there wasn't, as much as I thought, oh, well, they're in position to do this, I wasn't confident necessarily in Suarez. I was hoping he would at least move the runners over. And he didn't. And, well, that was it. The Reds did not get another hit. They didn't find a way to move the runners around, and the ugly strikeouts with runners on, a theme on Tuesday and on Thursday for Eugenio Suarez with the game on the line.
Yeah, it has, and I really think Suarez at this point needs a day off. Get his bat a little bit of rest, because over the last 3 games against the Phillies,
he's not using it.
He's struck out 9 times, 9 strikeouts in 3 games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, another double-digit strikeout start for the opposing starting pitcher.
14
for the team.
14 is nuts, and it doesn't make it the 5th time with 16. So there you go. There's your silver lining that I teased. Not really, but it just really, really ugly to lose like that when you have Brady Singer pitching the way he did, because he's singing, and we're going to hear from Brady. But first, let's hear from the manager, Terry Francona, after the 1-0 loss.
I mean, Blade had a really good at-bat and then did a good job getting a jump, because our thinking is it's going to be hard to string a bunch of hits together off him, which I think is kind of stating the obvious. Once you get in that situation, you're one bad pitch from not just tying it but winning it. He didn't make a bad pitch.
It seemed like Brady was in a really nice rhythm right from the start. What made him not only so effective but efficient tonight?
Well, he sure was. From the very get-go, he was establishing strike one, and his breaking ball was probably as good as we've seen. And then as he established that, you started seeing them try to swing early, and he got a lot of early outs. I thought he pitched his heart out. And it's a shame because, the way they scored, he had an 0-2, guy 0-2 and hit him. And then they put the runner in motion, 0-2, and get the ground ball, so they moved the runner. I thought he pitched really, really well.
On the other side, what was Luzardo doing to kind of keep your bats quiet tonight?
Well, he's got an upper 90s fastball. Anytime you look at a guy coming in and think he's about 30 hits short of innings, that's and way more strikeout. That's tough recipe.
How hard is it, Terry, when you obviously want guys like Stevenson and Gino in positions like that to drive in the runs, but also want them to make contact?
Well, again, you don't want a guy like Gino just to reach out and try to hit a ground ball to short. That's not going to work. He's there to try to drive the ball, and you strikeouts are part of it. That's just part of the game.
Why do you feel, or what can be the key to Gino being more statistically like he's been?
Say it again.
What can be the key for Gino statistically being this year more like what he's been in the past? What is he struggling with right now? I guess is another way to say it.
I think it's different at times. There's been times where it looks like he's trying to maybe cheat to the fastball, and then he's committing a little early. Hands are kind of coming forward. It's easy for me to say sitting there when you're 90 feet away, not having to face guys we're facing. I still think he's a guy that when he gets hot, he'll carry us for a while. We just got to get him there.
That's Terry Francona, courtesy of Reds TV. All right, so Eugenio Suarez was at the plate. 2 runners on, no outs in the 9th. Marisa, can't believe I'm asking you this. Would you have had the slugger bunt? He struck out at 3 pitches.
Yeah, honestly, I think I would have. I'm big into small ball when you're struggling like this, and the fact that you have the winning run on first, I get it. They brought in Suarez to be that bat, but he had been struggling. 8 strikeouts up to that point over the last 3 games. I would have taken the risk, either had him bunt or pinch hit him to someone who could get a solid bunt down. I feel like at that point you need to search for anything that's going to work.
It'll be fine. The Reds are 9 games back in the wild card.
Doesn't sound too fine.
No, it's not fine.
I like that we're just going to skip over the Central because 16 and a half games back is just a
You like the
killer
bunt
every
idea?
time.
Like the bunt idea, yes or no?
I like the idea. I think if it was almost any other player on the roster, it would make a lot more sense. And it's not because Suarez necessarily shouldn't. He's been horrible at the plate for quite some time. The immediate question I asked when I had the same thought was, when's the last time a guy like Eugenio Suarez has laid down a bunt? And to try to do that against one of the best closers in baseball, and Johan Duran, would be a very difficult task. So I think I'd probably side closer to the pinch hit him, see if you have someone that could lay one down. If Blake Dunn was healthy, it would certainly be a great spot for him to come in and try to lay one down to move the runners, but wasn't possible last night. You brought Suarez in to take those at-bats. He's the guy you're supposed to want at the plate in those situations in this Reds lineup, and you're supposed to want him swinging the bat. So it's incredibly frustrating we're even having this conversation.
You guys hear that? It's got Brian Hayes' music. Coming on to bunt, baby. That's your future.
Yeah.
Your future.
It might be.
I wish they would have called him up. Then he could have bunted.
He's mashing in AAA.
I'm just saying, that bat's working.
Yeah, it is.
That arm's working for Brady Singer. He started to sing The Silver Lining. We will get to that. But first, 1 minute with Brady Singer in the clubhouse, courtesy of Mike Petraglia.
Brady, what was the key to not only your effectiveness tonight, but also your efficiency? What were you doing so well?
Yeah, I wanted to, go out there and throw strikes. Last outing I beat myself at the 5 walks and stuff like that, so I didn't, want to do that tonight. Try to go out there and throw a lot of strikes and get some early outs.
What is, over the last 6 or 7 starts for you, what has been the difference? Because it's like a contrast between the first part of the season and these last 7 games.
Oh yeah, just having, some confidence in the zone. For sure, attacking a little bit more, and just using the pitches in different counts and stuff like that. I think the confidence is a big thing, seeing some outs in zone, so being able to attack the zone and trust it.
What is the key to 67 pitches through 6 innings and just how efficient you were tonight?
Yeah, obviously it starts with strike one and getting ahead. That's something that I wanted to do, is try to get ahead early and get some quick outs. So was able to do that and just kept attacking the zone throughout the night.
Good stuff there from Brady Singer. Good stuff last night. 7 1/3. Pitched very, very well. Feels like it was his best outing of the season. And it's continued a really good stretch here now as we get into the middle of July where Singer is starting to sing.
Yeah, I felt like it was one of his best outings of the season, and most of those have come within the last few. He's been as good as possible throughout his last couple starts. The one against Milwaukee at the end of June was possibly his best start in a Reds uniform, and then to carry it forward again after a struggle against Pittsburgh to really lock in and have another good start last night is huge for Brady Singer. This is a guy that the Reds really don't necessarily have a place for right now. Lauder's in the bullpen because there's too many starting pitchers. There's no options on a guy like Brady Singer. He was struggling to start this year, and he's someone that's going to be in this rotation as long as he's in a Reds uniform. So it's certainly great to have a little bit more confidence when a fifth of your rotation's going onto the mound.
Yeah, the third time in his last 5 starts where he's allowed 1 run or fewer. So like you said, he has been sensational Singer as of late. And especially last night, he was rolling through 7 innings, gave up just 3 hits, no earned runs, 76 pitches entering that 8th inning. And not even like he had that bad of stuff. He hit the batter, and then things kind of, started to fall off there. Phillies, banked in a run. But yeah, his slider also looked pretty good last night, Jacob. He had a lot of swings and misses on it. So yeah, definitely a guy that if he's in a Reds uniform, he's going to be in this rotation. So glad to see him pitching well.
Yeah, it's frustrating that he hasn't been able to win these. If you feel for a guy who's went through a lot of struggles in a Reds uniform, been talked about by a lot of Reds fans not too positively, and
especially this year.
Now he's had some awesome starts in a row when the Reds have needed it most. And they haven't been able to give him the run support necessary to win. I mean, the fact that we're talking about allowing 1 run through a phenomenal start and it wasn't enough for this team to win a game, that's just, it has to be frustrating for him. I know it's frustrating for us.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. One, the Reds front office better realize, regardless of how good your rotation is on paper, it's not going to be enough if you don't feel like you have enough hitting. And I don't think anyone felt like they had enough hitting coming into the season. That being said, Singer, keep doing this, because then you'll be playing for a contender in a few weeks, maybe sooner. I think there's a reason I held on to that stock as long as I did, and then I got frustrated with it. But I held on to it because he's a good pitcher. Not a great pitcher, but he's a good pitcher. When you compare him to some of the Reds starters, it feels underwhelming at times. But if you're a playoff contender and you need a starting pitcher, why wouldn't you be interested in Brady Singer?
So much of what we talked about when he was struggling is what the expectations were for Brady Singer in a Reds uniform. And most of that was not from an ERA standpoint or being an ace in a rotation. It was to eat innings and be productive when you were out there. Give consistent length and give the team a chance to win by the time you come out. That is invaluable to playoff contenders. Keeping the bullpen healthy as you roll through the later months of this season and into the playoffs, having a pitcher like Brady Singer can be huge. So the fact that he's strung together some really good starts here over the last month or so leads me to believe that they're going to be able to get a pretty significant return for him at the deadline.
I hope you're right. At First Word Cincy on YouTube Live. Make sure you join in. Chime into the chat as well. Should the Reds trade Brady Singer? I already have a bunch of votes in. 33% say yes. 33% say heck yes. And 33% say no, which we will debate that all day long. Why wouldn't you want to trade Brady Singer? We'll dive into that coming up. But up next, everything you missed while you slept right here on a Fired Up Friday edition of First Word. How big of a challenge is that with the NIL rosters flipping like crazy? You mentioned the 7 new guys, just getting guys in the building and going up against everybody else when it comes to the NIL side. And then when they get there, you got to get them familiar and comfortable, and not on the court, but off of it as well.
Yeah, we've tried to embrace just understanding that this is a one-shot deal every year, right? And you're just starting over. You hope you can retain some good guys. Your recruiting starts with trying to retain. But, this year we only have 1 starter back, so we're going to have essentially a brand new team. And in some ways it's exciting because you're going out and you think that you're able to really narrow down and pinpoint these are exactly the needs that we have. And then you just got to figure out, are we in the ballpark money-wise?
Obviously, bringing in players is a huge piece, but you just mentioned the retention there. As a mid-major, how's the struggle when guys progress and play really well to have them not try to take that leap and keep them at NKU?
It's not a struggle. You just lose them. You just do. I mean, I think our league last year, the stat was of the 15 guys that made one of the all-conference teams, 14 of them left the league. Wow. And so it's kind of an assumption. And so, again, even in recruiting, we got a really talented freshman this year that I think maybe could help us a lot. There's no guarantees back to the sophomore year. So, again, we just kind of take that one-year approach. How can we be the best team to win a championship this year in the Horizon League?
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Every morning, Cincinnati wakes up and gets to work. Companies are built, deals are made, restaurants open, ideas become careers, and every day the people behind it all sit down at the working lunch. Founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, community leaders, the people building Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, weekdays, noon to 1, only on The Crown.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe. Josh is good at counting. On a fired up Friday edition of First Word, I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, every single weekday, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. Let's dive into everything you missed while you slept right here, starting with, well, the Reds. And you didn't miss their bats. In fact, the only thing missing was their bats. 14 strikeouts yesterday in the 1-0 loss to the Phillies. I hate that that's a theme. And yet, here we are again. The Reds only had 3 hits. They failed, despite getting 2 runners on in the 9th, to score any runs, generate any runs, tie the game, do anything at the plate, and unfortunately fall to 42-50 on the season.
You might have been able to catch this one before you slept. Only 8 hits in the game, only 1 run. It was one of the quickest games of the year.
Slept?
It might have been. It might have helped you fall asleep.
Them at the plate?
Yeah. It was one of the quickest games of the year because the Reds pitching was phenomenal last night, and the bats didn't show up. Brady Singer, one of his best starts of the year. If it's not his best start of the year, his best start came 2 starts ago. So he's as hot as he's been in a Reds uniform. 7 1/3, 4 hits, just 1 earned run last night, and it came in the 8th inning, and that was it for the Reds. When you can't get guys on base, and when they are on base, you can't move them over, it's really hard to score runs. And the Reds were shut out last night for what feels like the billionth time, and they continue to lose games where they could push the momentum forward a little bit.
Yeah, Singer was absolutely sensational, and you needed some kind of offense, any type of offense last night. The Reds were just 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position, but this is the 11th time now this season where they've had a game, they've recorded 4 or fewer hits in that game. They they are 2-9 in those outings. And beyond that, just the 8th time now this season that they have been shut out. So got to come up with some kind of answers, because when you have an outing like Brady Singer did, you should be a way to come away with a win.
The theme that's starting to run through a lot of these close losses is facing quality pitchers. This lineup can't make contact. The strikeout numbers are massive when you're facing really any quality pitcher for the Reds. 11 strikeouts for Luzardo, the Phillies starter last night, 14 as a whole, which doesn't add to the record-breaking stats you had a couple days ago, but still not pretty for this Reds lineup. And it's one thing to not get hits. It's another thing to not even put the ball in play. And that's what's happening with this Reds lineup. Seems like more often than not over the last few games.
Yeah. There's no doubt. And Sal Stewart, 0 for 4 after we praised him, and he had the record-breaking night. Ellie De La Cruz, 0 for 4. Eugenio Suarez just struck out. He's about to get the Geno Stone treatment. Oh, no. Just struck out at 7 in the morning here. So if you missed it while you slept, well, it just happened again. Here's Terry Francona on the 1-0 loss to the Phillies.
Well, I mean, Blade had a really good at-bat and then did a good job getting the jump, because our thinking is it's going to be hard to string a bunch of hits together off him, which I think is kind of stating the obvious. Once you get in that situation, you're one bad pitch from not just tying it but winning it. He didn't make a bad pitch.
It seemed like Brady was in a really nice rhythm right from the start. What made him not only so effective but efficient tonight?
Boy, he sure was. From the very get-go, he was establishing strike one, and his breaking ball was probably as good as we've seen. And then as he established that, you started seeing them try to swing early, and he got a lot of early outs. I thought he pitched his heart out. And it's a shame because, the way they scored, he had an 0-2, guy 0-2 and hit him. And then they put the runner in motion, 0-2, and get the ground ball, so they moved the runner. I thought he pitched really, really well.
On the other side, what was Luzardo doing to kind of keep your bats quiet tonight?
Well, I mean, he's got an upper 90s fastball. Anytime you look at a guy coming in and think he's about 30 hits short of innings, that's and way more strikeout. That's tough recipe.
How hard is it, Terry, when you obviously want guys like Stevenson and Geno in positions like that to drive in the runs, but also want to make contact?
Well, I mean, again, you don't want a guy like Geno just to reach out and try to hit a ground ball to short. That's not going to work. I mean, he's there to try to drive the ball, and you strikeouts are part of it. That's just part of the game.
Why do you feel, or what can be the key to Geno being more statistically like he's been?
Say it again.
What can be the key for Geno statistically being this year more like what he's been in the past? What is he struggling with right now? I guess is another way to say it.
I think it's different at times. There's been times where it looks like he's trying to maybe cheat to the fastball, and then he's committing a little early. Hands are kind of coming forward. It's easy for me to say sitting there when you're 90 feet away, not having to face guys we're facing. I still think he's a guy that when he gets hot, he'll carry us for a while. We just got to get him there.
That courtesy of Reds.tv. Look, Terry Francona at a loss for words clearly with some of this, because it's been the same old song and dance, same old story. 14 strikeouts, no runs, 3 hits. Tough to win any game when you're not going to hit with runners on, and when they did get runners on in the ninth, they did not take advantage.
Yeah, it feels like every time now I watch these Terry Francona press conferences, I'm wanting more. I just don't know what more there is for him to say at this point. He's not going to go sit up there and say the players aren't good enough. He's not going to go sit up there and say he needs to make changes by the deadline and they need to make big swings for trades. There's no real case to fix the pieces he has right now. This is the lineup for the Reds. These are the players for the Reds, at least for the 2026 season. So got to just hope they get better and start making contact.
Yeah. It is what it is right now for the Reds. We'll dive more into the Reds coming up in a bit. But tonight, well, a TQL friendly FC Cincinnati welcoming Burnley FC to town. And I'm excited for this one. I think you guys are excited for this one. They practice, by the way, at the practice fields across from Paycor Stadium. So I think that's pretty cool. They were at Paycor as well. It's been cool to see them integrate into the Cincinnati lifestyle this week for sure.
Yeah, that's been really neat to see that, they've not only made stops over at Paycor Stadium, but also at Great American Ballpark and taking in some Reds baseball. And I love when teams, do this when they're coming over to, a new place, a new location, immersing themselves in that city and the different, culture that is here in Cincinnati. And this is the first time since 2016 where FC Cincinnati is hosting an English team over here at TQL Stadium. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one tonight.
It's always cool when the pro teams in one city, all work together, all are together in a way. And it's cool to see the Bengals and the Reds continue to support FCC. And game should be fun tonight. It looks like it's going to be a solid crowd, and it's always cool to see the MLS teams take on some of that European talent.
I'm jealous that they get to work out at the Bengals facility, because I've been asking the Bengals to let me work out there during the press conference for years, and they've laughed at me every time. So shout out to Burnley for getting that opportunity and making the most of it. Did you see the guy on the ball just now? He was doing his little core exercises, which is a very normal move. If LeBron did that, would he get mocked?
Probably.
It's a very normal exercise. I just want to throw that one out there as well. But looking forward to tonight's friendly, and our friend Nick Haglin and FC Cincinnati tonight against Burnley. Maybe J.J. Watt is going to do a video. A lot of we reached out. Our guy Adam Baum reached out. JJ, I don't think he's responded yet. So
still has time.
Yeah,
we're on till 11.
Call in right now. We'll do audio only. We don't need you on video. It's no problem, JJ. But yeah, let's continue with our man Paulie Fritchner. Paulie Scoops had the latest on the CareSource Invitational on the Rebound Rundown yesterday. You got Ohio State, UC Dayton, and Xavier playing at the Lindner Family Tennis Center on October 7th. It's an exhibition, and I don't care. I love this. It's really awesome. UC versus OSU, Xavier Dayton, sign me up.
Yeah, really the most surprising thing about this to me yesterday is that it wasn't a 100% approval rate. I think this is awesome. Yeah. I don't know why anyone would be upset that some of the best teams locally are going to play each other before the season in a place where you can go watch it. I think that is awesome for everyone, yes. Fans and players and these teams. I mean, I think it's always a good thing when UC and Ohio State are playing on the same field or on the same court. These rivalries regionally are part of what makes college sports so great, and with all the conference realignment over the last 20-plus years, they've sort of fallen out of the consistent schedule of the game. So the more and more we can do this stuff before the season, I am all in. I absolutely love it.
I am so excited. Get my Buckeyes down here in Cincinnati. This is a phenomenal move to make this happen. Maybe the only complaint you can make is that it's not in the regular season, that it's just an exhibition game, but I'm with you. I don't, quite understand how people have a problem or an issue with this happening.
Because it wasn't, can it be a regular season game and regular season tournament? Or exhibition, let's pick exhibition. It was have it or not.
Right.
Like, that's the difference. And so, yeah, in an ideal world, by the way, UC and Ohio State and Xavier and Dayton would be playing in the Final Four. And this would be the Final Four. So if we're playing like pie in the sky ideal. But this is a good step. And I foresee some kind of wager between Marisa and I on this exhibition.
1,000%. We'll come up with something.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, you can't. You're Crimson Tide basketball.
Well, if they come up here, I'll place a bet with either one of you.
Spoiler. They're not coming up here.
That's true.
And that's the way we like it. NCAA had this eligibility ruling. It was pretty big. Paul Fritchner, who's in the room right now.
Page views.
It's just page views, engagement, Paulie scoops, you could say whatever, but an Ohio judge granted a preliminary injunction to players suing for age-based eligibility. So eligible for now. We will see if that is the case in a few months, but certainly eligible for now.
I think we're all seasoned veterans in the temporary injunction game at this point. Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt. They can play for now. I'm sure there'll be another lawsuit in a couple weeks, and we'll see what happens. But as of right now, these players are eligible, some UC and Xavier players involved.
MJ Collins, the Bearcats, Marisa doesn't want that on exhibition season on October 7th. Not MJ. No.
Oh, got to play against the best. No, Paul, phenomenal work, especially yesterday, breaking all of this news and all of your coverage. You deserve all of the kudos and props to you. Were working hard yesterday, man.
Yeah. Oof. Today, just a normal day. But yesterday, Paul Sharani.
That's right.
Paulie Scoops is the one, I think. I think that's the one that's going to hold up because big ice cream guy as well. We're going to get into Christian Pulisic coming up later. But Christian Pulisic, hurt.
Yeah.
And it's a real real injury, all the grief he's taken while he suffered a microfracture and a bone bruise. And look, I think the microfracture part of this coming out, he's probably all the blowback, all the pushback he's gotten. And he's like, hey, by the way, I had a microfracture and a bone bruise, and that's part of why I left that match in what ultimately was a 3-0 loss to Belgium.
Yeah.
Or 3-1 loss to Belgium, excuse me.
Right, yeah, they did score one. But no, it's interesting that this came out when it did. Like you said, we're going to be talking more about Pulisic and all of what's kind of, encompassed him over the last few days coming up later in the show. But I don't have any, issue or qualm with him leaving the match due to injury. It was really his post-game comments, and I know we're going to talk about that more later.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're hurt, you're hurt. I think the frustrating thing at this point is this just seems to be the thing with Pulisic. He continues to battle injuries, and the biggest moment, he doesn't seem to be 100%. And it's frustrating when he's the face of United States soccer. He's supposed to be the catalyst of this team, and he's really been unable to be on the field in those big moments at this point. So it's frustrating, but it's certainly, if you're hurt, you're hurt. So, certainly come out of the game.
Yeah, that's part of it. By the way, it was 4-1. I wasn't including the garbage time goal. Pulisic was not on the field for that one, by the way. So yeah, you mentioned that. Regardless, they got beat. Christian made some comments. I think that's where a lot of the criticism comes from. Like Marisa said, we'll dive into that at the same time. Yeah, if you have a microfracture, I'm not shocked that he didn't play through it. At the same time, would I have been shocked if he did play through it? I would not have been shocked by that either. And so I think that's fair. Real quick before we get out of here, France, our guy Nick Hagland, second time mentioned here in While You Slept, said France before the World Cup, and it's not like he was on a limb here. They were one of the best teams. They handled Morocco, and they continue to advance here. They are in the semifinals.
Yeah, it's hard to not, feel like France is just going to continue to be the favorites until they're not. They are just playing such great ball right now, and especially look at Mbappe. He had a goal and an assist in yesterday's match, and he is now the first player to have 8 or more goals in 2 different World Cups. As you have the Golden Boot tracker, him and Messi both have 8 goals this World Cup. And a stat I came across, and I think I stared at this for 30 seconds before it really registered. So the most World Cup goals of all time. You have Messi, who leads the way with 21. Mbappe right behind him at 20. Mbappe has only played in 20 World Cup games. Let that sink in. He is 1 goal behind the GOAT, and he has played in 20 World Cup games.
He's scored in every knockout round game that he's ever played in.
He's going to pass him.
Probably.
He's going to finish this World Cup with more goals than Messi. I don't know if that's a take. He's only 1 away. He'll finish with more.
Yeah, I hope that
he's going to play in 2 more. Play in 2 more. So
yeah,
just a matter of if Argentina is going to be
Messi,
in those games too.
I said what I said.
I want the rematch.
Oh, sure.
3 straight semifinals for France. 1 France versus Argentina again.
Well, sure. We'll see. I was just making a little prediction there. That's all I was doing, making a little prediction. Looking ahead, are the Reds going to make a gigantic change? Should they make a gigantic change? We'll dive into that. Plus, Dexter Lawrence, under the radar. It's hard to be that big and under the radar. I think that's official. We'll dive into that and more next, right here on First Word.
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for the working lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Because if Joe Burrow thinks he's that good and he's prepared against him, he's probably that good.
Exactly. And Joe Burrow just isn't going to say something like that just for the sake of saying it. He truly believes it because Joe also knows his words are going to be consumed across socials, across the NFL world, and everyone's going to dissect what he is saying. So the fact that Joe is saying that means a lot. It carries a lot. And it's also giving that reassurance, I think, to both Dexter and the rest of this locker room and fan base that, yeah, the Bengals went out, got a difference maker, one of the best defensive linemen to add to bolster this defense so they can be a lot better than they were the last 2 years.
Absolutely. And Dexter's production took a step back last year, but the production as an interior defensive lineman is only about half of the battle here. And I think that's what's part of what's so exciting for a lot of people both in the fan base and in the building, including, I assume, Joe. As much as Dex affects everyone else in that defensive line and on the defense, playing at a true nose tackle position over the center, getting double teamed as much as he did, like Marisa just said. But even last year in a down year for the production, it's what he does when he's on the field that makes a huge difference. The Giants, when Dexter was off the field last year, were 32nd in yards per attempt, 31st in sack rate, and 27th in EPA per pass. When Dexter was on the field, they were 8th in yards per attempt, 9th in sack rate, and 10th in EPA per pass. He didn't just make them a fine defense. He took them from a defense ranked in the 30s in a 32-team league to a defense in the top 10. How much he can sway a team when he's on the field for his impact at the interior position is second to none.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show in the disrespect. You get that? Yeah. Michael Scott. Disrespect. The disrespect that's happening right now in ranking season, and it is ranking season. Bengals training camp less than 3 weeks away, which means that these national outlets post different rankings, and ESPN has a great one every single year where they poll executives, scouts, coaches on the top 10 at each position. And Dexter Lawrence, well, he made the top 10. He's 7th among defensive tackles in ESPN's top 10. He was number 1 last year. And we get it. The Giants traded him. We get it. He's a member of the Bengals. We get it. The numbers weren't great. So let's start here. Buy or sell that after a down season last year, Dexter Lawrence is the 7th best defensive tackle in the NFL.
How quickly can we sell this, right? I mean,
I didn't know what you guys were thinking. I know what I'm thinking. I don't know.
I'm worried now to know what you're thinking. But no, I mean, in this article it says
it's not the first
Lawrence
time.
fell 6 spots, but his drop in play isn't that steep. So you're basically telling me he fell because he is now a Cincinnati Bengal, which how is being a Bengal not an upgrade from being a Giant? I just, come out and say that. I have beef that I want to know.
Inject that into Jacob's veins.
I want to know on here, it says his lowest ranking was unranked. Who is not ranking Dexter Lawrence in the top 10? I would love to have that conversation.
That's almost what I've learned most from these positional rankings is we got to figure out who's ranking these people. Some of the unranked, some of the lows, and some of the highs, really on all of these position groups is shocking. And I think the other main theme we can take away, at least from the ones we've discussed most so far, the biggest surprises or head scratchers are Bengals. I think Chase Brown being where he was in the running back rankings was a huge shock. Certainly DJ Turner, a huge shock being left out of the rankings yesterday. We talked about corners, and then Dexter's tumble today. I really can't wrap my head around. I mean, 7th outside The top three, I understand a little bit because of the dip in production last year, but outside of the top five, I really can't wrap my head around.
Yeah, I agree with you. I look at it, Leonard Williams 1, Jeffrey Simmons 2. I get Jeffrey Simmons being ahead, by the way. Williams was awesome last year, so fine. Let's just, if we're doing that. Jalen Carter, everybody loves him. And then this is where it gets interesting, because, like, let's say he falls to 4. I think, all right. Well, Chris Jones last year, we want to talk about a down year. He certainly had a down year for the Chiefs. And, yeah, some of those metrics are still good, and he's still awesome. I'm not saying you want to have Chris Jones. Derek Brown is someone highest ranking 1, lowest ranking unranked, and so a really big gap here. Then Quinnen Williams, who playing for the Cowboys, huge name, goes from Jets to Cowboys, got traded for a first plus, which shows the Dexter Lawrence value for my money, but his highest ranking was 3rd. He's 6th in these rankings, followed by Dexter Lawrence. Look, this goes to show what Dexter Lawrence, why he has the chip on his shoulder that he had. And we talked with Dan Horde yesterday. He joined us in studio and offered some good insight on Dexter. And make sure you check that out on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. It's like 30 minutes on the Bengals. At least 7 of it was on Dexter because of what he does for this defense on paper, but what he's done since getting here. And I think that's the other thing. Dexter probably did feel that almost slept on or disrespected by the Giants. And so he comes here, the Bengals invest in him, they clearly believe in him, and now he wants to prove them right. And I think that's a very dangerous in a good way combination to have if you're the Bengals. A super motivated, eager to prove himself, 28-year-old, he's not 38, 28-year-old in Dexter Lawrence, who was the #1 defensive tackle last year in this exact poll. So is 7 too low? Well, obviously it's too low. And I think Dexter feels that urge to show that the Bengals are right when they traded number 10 overall.
No question about it. And I think, all of us are excited for the impact he can make in the Bengals locker room and on the field for this Bengals defense. But I think when looking at these rankings, I'm really just perplexed that he's ranked this low based on what he did last year. I mean, sure, the sacks dipped a little bit to 0.5, but over the course of last season, he was better in a lot of metrics than he was in 2024 when he had better counting numbers. He went from 8th highest pass rush grade to 5th. He went from the 13th highest win rate to the 6th, and he went from the 6th in true pass set win rate to running that back to being 6th again in true pass set win rate. He also lined up the most snaps at nose tackle of any interior D lineman in the league. That has to come into play when you're ranking these guys. Where you line up on the defensive line is a huge determinant factor in how quickly you can get to the quarterback and what's expected from you on a play-by-play basis. We talk about the double team numbers all the time based on where he lines up. No one else in the league is doing this. So the fact that he has even comparable numbers to the guys ranked ahead of him tells me Dexter Lawrence is more impressive based on what he's doing from where he is on the field.
You mentioned those double team numbers, and here you can see over 53% over the last 5 seasons. But last year alone, he faced a double team 71% of the time amongst pass rushers with at least 300 snaps. I mean, that's insane. That's almost 3/4 of the time that he's out there. So yeah, it would no shock that his numbers might take a little bit of a dip when you're having to get through 2 guys at the line of scrimmage. But James, it's crazy to me that we are sitting here saying Dexter Lawrence has to prove it when he has more than proven it throughout his career. A 3-time Pro Bowler, I believe the best nose tackle, defensive lineman in the league. But it's hard for me to wrap my head around that he's, for whatever reason, now a Cincinnati Bengal and not having that same kind of reputation that he has already established himself for.
Yeah, and he will get that back if he's part of the reason why the Bengals defense is good. If in October, if we're going up to the Lindner Family Center for that exhibition, UC Ohio State, and we have whatever wager we have, and the Bengals are one of the best teams, in partially because of their defense in the league, or a month later, we're gearing up for Thanksgiving and the Bengals are starting to make their run, and Dexter Lawrence is a big part of it, he's going to get his flowers. He will. It is odd that it's like this, because if you talk to anyone that is anyone in the Bengals building, they're like, yeah, just watch him. He's still that guy we prepared for in 2024. When, if you remember, that's my Dexter Lawrence experience. I know how hyped Ted Karras was that week to have to deal with Dexter and getting himself hyped up because of how big of a pain it is to face him. And it was an ugly game. I remember thinking, man, this Bengals team is just brutal. To go up there to New York at MetLife and struggle. This is the Joe Burrow 47-yard touchdown run where he flexed on. Without that, they lose the game. It was such an ugly game where they couldn't move the ball on offense. And a lot of that, I think, had to do with Dexter Lawrence and what he causes. The Bengals still think he's that guy and then some. And so, yeah, I agree. And I do think that the Bengal tax is interesting. I also think it's a perception tax where you just got traded. And if you're a dominant, Chris Jones isn't getting traded, right? Like I think Quinnen Williams is a little low on this list too. I think Quinnen Williams is awesome. So probably a little low. Leonard Williams, is he real? Today, are you taking him over Quinnen Williams?
Is he the best interior defensive lineman on his team? I mean, he has a great season last year.
And he was awesome last year.
I'm not taking anything away from Leonard Williams. That whole Seahawks defense was awesome, and part of it is his leadership off the field as well. He's a great player. I think if you polled people around the NFL before this list came out, half of them would have had Byron Murphy ranked ahead of him potentially on that Seahawks defensive line. So to have Byron Murphy not on this list at all and Leonard Williams one, I have a lot of questions about not just where Dexter Lawrence is ranked, but the highs and lows for most of the players on this list. The gaps for these defensive linemen are significantly bigger than the other positions we've talked about so far. There's multiple highest rankings inside the top 5, like Dexter, and lowest ranking outside the whole list. And that is really shocking to me. And I think it goes back to kind of what I was just saying about the difference in where these guys line up. I think it's very hard to just look at numbers and compare defensive line. You know, running back, wide receiver, corners, that's a little bit easier. You can look at the completion percentage or the rushing yards, and all of that kind of lines up. But a guy lining up at a 3 technique versus a nose tackle, how they get to their production is completely different. And when you're ranking these guys, just simply looking at the counting numbers, it's not a fair way to talk about this position. And I think that's why we see so much of the discrepancy and why so many people are down on Dexter because of his production last year, when in reality he wasn't that much worse of a player, if he was worse at all.
It's a great point, and honestly, this makes me a little nervous. The disrespect the Bengals have been receiving in these rankings. What's going to happen when the receiver and the quarterback rankings come out?
Oh,
I'm excited.
I think those guys will get respect.
They better.
I mean, you're right. They better. And for me, you mentioned the metrics with Dexter and the different counting stats and all of those things. When you know you're going to lose every Sunday, it does matter. Like, a part of why he's rejuvenated is, he's new place, all those things. He also looks and it's Joe Burrow. It's not Daniel Jones. Right. It's not Jackson Dart, who people tried to prematurely crown, I think, as this next star quarterback. And maybe he ends up being really good. Dexter Lawrence, though, has never had a Joe Burrow. And so I think that has got him fired up as well.
Also, when you talk about counting numbers and everything along those lines, Dexter Lawrence double-teamed over 70% of the time last year. Only half a sack on the season. Do you think he played any role in Brian Burns having career-high 16.5 sacks off the edge for the Giants? Or Kayvon Thibodeau being an exciting young player? Or Abdul Carter having one of the most exciting rookie seasons in the league last year? I think the emergence of the Giants' edge rush room tells you exactly how much of an impact Dexter Lawrence makes, even when the sacks aren't necessarily coming.
And that's what the Bengals are certainly banking on. We will continue the Dexter Lawrence conversation coming up next in our What's the Word poll question of the day right here on First Word. The city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapien, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crowd Network. Well, it wasn't all love for these Bengals coordinators when it comes to this Bleacher Report article, because it named a bunch of future head coaches or potential head coaching candidates, and it was a bunch of coordinators, some experienced, some not so experienced. Do you see Al Golden there? Oh, well, that's not a shock. The Bengals defense is bad, so it makes sense. Do you see Dan Pitcher's name on that list?
It's on the next slide, right? Because it can't have been left off. Right, there has to be another slide.
No, I see former Bengals defensive coach Matt Burke. I see former Bengals cornerbacks coach Vance Joseph. I see Shielhouse and Udinsky, two guys that were in the mix for the Browns job. No, I don't see either Bengals coordinator. And so fair or foul that Dan Pitcher and Al Gold not being mentioned makes sense. That Bleacher Report got it right.
Yeah, I think it makes somewhat sense for Al Golden. I think it's a big leap for him to go from last year to this year and be in head coaching conversations, though I do think it's possible. It's an argument I was expecting to make with this topic, but I didn't think I'd have to make the same one for Dan Pitcher. I didn't think that was going to be, evidently, according to Bleacher Report, a hot take that he belongs in the same group as the rest of these young coordinators in the league. I understand he doesn't call plays. I understand that that's a huge piece of this for a lot of offensive coordinators that take that leap to being a head coach. But I don't understand how you can look at this Bengals team and, quite frankly, the lack of success over the last 3 years and what he's been able to do as the offensive coordinator in this offense with Joe Burrow and not think that he's worthy of this conversation if the team's healthy and they accomplish their goals this season. I think if the Bengals are in competition for the AFC North with the Ravens and you're making the playoffs and you're winning playoff games and competing for a Super Bowl, then we're not talking about if Dan Pitcher is worth a head coaching job. We're talking about which interview he's probably going to land the job at the end of this season. I think it's a given that he's in these conversations.
Every morning, Cincinnati wakes up and gets to work. Companies are built, deals are made, restaurants open, ideas become careers, and every day the people behind it all sit down at the working lunch. Founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, community leaders, the people building Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, weekdays, noon to 1, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Jacob Tissot, Marisa Contipelli, and it is time for our What's the Word poll question of the day, and we will continue the Dexter Lawrence theme, and it's very, very simple. Dexter Lawrence ranked 7th in ESPN's defensive tackle rankings. Is his drop from 1st to 7th a fair assessment of his play? And 46.6% of you are with Marisa Contipelli. No, should be at top 3. 20.3% say no, higher but not top 3, and 26.3% say it is a good assessment. He's good, but his play dipped. And 6.8 say no, he was bad last year. Hey, Eli Manning, I didn't say you could vote in that. Any Giants fan there, but anything shock you about these results?
I think the only thing that might have shocked me was just how many people had voted for that he was bad last season and got almost 7%. He wasn't bad last season. He just had a dip in his numbers. Jacob went through some of the metrics just the last segment. And also something else I was just thinking about that we've seen with some of these rankings is players kind of getting the benefit of the doubt due to their name being ranked high on this list when maybe they shouldn't. Why is Dexter kind of not getting that same treatment?
One of the same thoughts I had, because if we're looking at the corner list and the running back list we talked about over the last couple of days, Dexter Lawrence is exactly the type of player that you overlook a lower production season because of what he's done in his career, based on how they've ranked these other lists. And that's why I revert to the fact that it seems like, at least at the very little bit, some helmet scouting here. And he's moved from New York to Cincinnati, and now he needs to prove it again here and essentially throwing out that track record. I love that 2/3 of our audience thinks he's ranked too low. I love that the majority thinks he's still top 3, because that's certainly where I lie, and that's what I expect to see from him on the field this year in stripes.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that 26.3% That's the one that surprised me. It's like, yeah,
It's a big chunk.
fair assessment. He's play dipped. Because if he's the 7th best defensive tackle, like let's just say he's the 7th best defensive tackle in the league this year, I wouldn't give up the 10th pick for the 7th best defensive tackle. So he better not be the 7th best defensive tackle. And so for me, I look at it and I say, all right, so 33% of people that voted in this, a third, are completely out on the trade. Because I would be. If he's 7th or worse, that isn't worth it. It just isn't. Now, if he's 7th and all of these other guys are better because if he's there, well, guess what? Then he's not 7th because there aren't many guys like that. And I think that's the Leonard Williams argument is he had pieces around him and some of these other guys, Quinton Williams didn't necessarily have. A guy like Dexter Lawrence didn't necessarily have. It's going to be interesting to see if he plays really well where he is on this list next year. But Dexter Lawrence, disrespected, but not here in Cincinnati. Up next, it's time to switch gears. We're going to talk Reds baseball. Brace yourself. Tissot's Take is next right here on First Word. CB1 calculated DJ Turner on Instagram with the soon post there, and you see it. That's a lot of stacks there. That's a lot. I don't know. Did you count them all?
I was trying. I think it's like $25 million a year, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, he's good with that too. Are the Bengals good with that? I think that's where it leads to. Let's start here. Do we think that this CB1 calculated the soon Instagram posting it, knowing it's going to get the people going? Is a deal looming?
Yes, I feel like it has to be. You're not just going to post that just to post it. The only way you're posting that is if there's like actual talks happening right now, and hopefully we see something get done before training camp, and it doesn't loom into camp in the preseason. But I can't see DJ posting this in there not being negotiations happening.
I thought it'd for sure have to get to me to overreact about a cryptic social media post. But absolutely, I think a contract is close. I saw this.
Close.
It's close. They've had conversations. They've definitely had conversations already. At least I would think so. It's been the conversation all offseason at this desk that he's the no-brainer number one priority on the extension front. So I think as soon as this reaches the Instagram story slide, it's either close or conversations are progressing or whatever the word is. Something happened in those conversations to have him and his agent post this, and maybe it's wishful thinking, but I hope that thing is getting close.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones. Just your typical 40-year-old Cincinnati girl. Although, no, I'm not married or divorced. I don't have any kids, and I don't live in the neighborhood I grew up in, which is the West Side, by the way. But what I do have is a lot of freaking time, and I've been using it well. So come along with me on this grand adventure, because I've been trying all the new around town that you need to know about. This is Nat Tries That.
My name is Jack Crumley. I've been covering news in Cincinnati on the radio for the last 20 years. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, but Cincinnati has always felt like home since day one. I've seen so many things accomplished here, and now, with the Working Lunch, I get to write, read, and talk about them every day. Hard-working people with a drive and a dream. Innovative ideas that help shape this city. Cincinnati is a great city, and I'm excited to tell you about it every day.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
First Word rolls on a fired up Friday edition right here on The Crown. Put them up, Rodney. There we go, Rodney. Yeah.
Raise the roof.
Let's go. Let's see. You weren't even around when that came out. Neither was I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even know what that came out refers to.
Go ahead. Show me how
I know how to raise a roof.
Oh, do it. There.
Roofs have been raised.
Right here.
Right here.
We're right here. Come on now.
There we go.
Didn't have that on my bingo card to start this hour, but I did have a guy who may raise the roof. He may lower the standard. I don't know what he's going to do. It's not my block. It's his block. It's time for Tissot's Take.
I will raise the roof if the Reds listen to me and implement Tissot's Take here today. So the main thing that has frustrated me over the last couple months with this Reds team is we talk about the lineup not being there on a consistent basis. We talk about the players in this Reds organization not instilling a ton of hope for the long term in terms of the core that is here right now. I don't understand why there's not a focus to play these young guys more. We've seen Matt McClain play second base a lot this season. We've seen him moved out to center field to somehow force his way into the lineup. A bat that on the season this year is hitting 190 and over the last 15 games is hitting below 100. I don't understand the rationale of forcing him into the outfield or into the lineup at all. TJ Friedel has been called back up from AAA after being sent down at the start of this year. He started the first 35 games in center field for this Reds team, was in the leadoff spot for the vast majority of those. He got sent down to AAA for struggling, and now that he's back, he's playing a lot. He's playing center field quite a bit, and he's made some good plays. He certainly looked like a better player than the first stint with this Reds team this year, but that's also been the case for Noelvi Marte since he's been called up. And at this point in the Reds season, when we look at the standings and we flash them up every day, those numbers keep getting bigger. 9 games back from the wild card for this 2026 Reds team, 16 and a half games back in the division. At this point, looking at everything that's going on with this Reds team and the bullpen and the starting rotation in this lineup as a whole, the way I think the Reds could get the most value, especially out of these games right now, is to see what they have in some of their most valuable assets. And right now, those 2 assets that are here with the big league club that for some reason we aren't seeing as much as we could are Noelvi Marte and Edwin Arroyo. If it was up to me, and Tissot's Take today is that Edwin Arroyo should play second base every single day, and Noelvi Marte needs to be in right field, or if you're going to commit to the move in center field, put him in center field, but he needs to play every single day. Both Edwin Arroyo and Noelvi Marte should be in this lineup every day because that's the most value the Reds can get out of these games is to figure out what they have in these young stars.
I get it. I do. And Edwin Arroyo, it's not like he's crushing the ball or anything like that, but he's a good defender, and he's someone that you hope can develop into a building block. He's hitting .239 right now. He's slugging .295. He's got a .580 OPS. Like, it's not great, but seeing what you have is important. And do we think we know what Matt McClain is now? The answer is yes. I answer for the whole desk. I think we all know what Matt McClain is. Maybe not. Maybe he shocks us. If he would have shocked us, I think it would have been 2 or 3 months ago.
I think the most realistic way that he could shock us at this point is to send him down to AAA. Have him work through this a little bit.
Single A.
Continuing, I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but continuing to walk up to the plate and strike out and get outs. I mean, he has an OPS below 200 in the last 7 games. I can't even wrap my head around that much production from a guy that was one of the no doubt pieces of the long-term core after he came up in 2023. And I think that's what
ACL Reds.
It's the most frustrating thing about McClain is that it was him and Ellie were supposed to be the ones that were extended. It's supposed to be the core of his team. Supposed to be the middle of the field
extend him
forever.
He said no.
Now sitting here, it's lucky that he did with this production right now.
Yes.
I think the other side of the Edwin Arroyo coin is the only way, in my mind, to feasibly salvage Matt McClain at this point is to send him to AAA and have him get consistent at bats with pitching that he can hopefully have success against and come back up when the confidence is rebuilt. And if the plan is to move him to center, have him learn center field in AAA instead of in the majors. His bat is not playing in Major League Baseball right now. There's no reason to force him into the lineup, and Arroyo is a better defender than McClain is, which is the only reason McClain was playing second base to begin with.
Yeah, and we haven't seen McClain in the lineup as of late because Terry Francona said he was dealing with a little bit of a sore calf. But when you look at his numbers in July, you talked about his struggles, 0 for 11 in the month. So despite the time that he's been out there, he just hasn't been producing much. So I am fully on board with this Tissot's Take. play the young guys, see what you have in them, especially when right now you're not in striking distance of being in contention for a playoff spot. So yeah, see what you have in the young guys, and if they can be a part of the future, and looking to build this team for next season and beyond.
A lot of times when the conversation about playing young guys is presented, you're sacrificing production to try to learn things about unknown quantities with these prospects. And uniquely for this Reds team right now, that's not the case. It's not like these other guys are hitting the cover off the ball and consistently being great. And I think that's why, at least to me, it's such an easy answer to play these guys.
Yeah, I agree. Because the drop, like what drop off? Mm-hmm. Everybody's bad.
Right.
Or in not that Norway Marte is bad, but like when you don't play Marte, are the replacements better? And the answer is no. It's not like
the ceiling certainly isn't higher.
No. And the swag isn't either. I'll say that. Arroyo and Marte both look like they're awesome.
Yes.
Now, will they get there? We will see. But I think you've seen some stuff from Arroyo. He's their 88th ranked prospect on MLB Pipeline. We talked to Sam Dykstra earlier in the week. That's up on our YouTube channel. About Arroyo, continue to give him reps. That's how you get better. That's how you get better at a lot of things. Reps, reps, reps. Novi Marte obviously is playing better than he did at the beginning of the season. Hopefully that continues. They need him to be a piece. But yeah, at this point of the season, where they're at, 42-50, 9 games back in the wild card, 16.5 back in the division. If there was a steep drop-off, I would understand them not doing it yet, still
Absolutely.
trying to hang on to something because it's still a long season. You can't just mail it in completely. But this isn't mailing it in. It's trying to build. It's trying to give yourself a chance to win today while also seeing if these young guys are prepared to help you and be big parts of the future. So that would be my approach here if I'm the Reds. And so I agree with you, and I don't really know the logic behind it. The only thing I'll debate, I'm not sure Matt McLain is going to hit 300 at AAA. So we'll see.
He probably wouldn't, but
I mean, he's been so bad. Like
I know, and the sample size is massive at this point.
Biggest disappointment of the season, I think.
It certainly could be, because it feels like it's a nail in the coffin for him. And last year, when it was like so much struggle
for his Reds career, like maybe
almost
baseball
because
career.
of the timeline with Edwin Arroyo and the rest of this Reds middle infield. I mean, we talked about only 3 top 100 prospects for the Reds, and number 2 was Steele Hall, who was their first-round pick last year, who's also a middle infielder. Now, certainly quite a ways away, but when you're talking about long-term extensions, those things come into play. Matt McLain is not the number 1 second baseman in this Reds organization right now. He probably is number 2, but that's a pretty significant drop-off in my mind, and with where he's at right now, I don't know that there's much of a realistic opportunity for him to get back to that number 1 spot, at least not this year. And I think there's a reasonable justification that playing these guys will help the Reds right now. It certainly helps them in 27 and 28 and 29 as these players are expected to take bigger roles in this team. So if they're not within striking distance this season, I think shifting the focus, much as we'll talk about around the trade deadline, to next year and the years beyond, how you can maximize this roster to benefit those teams, I think is the right way to look at this.
And especially when it comes to Arroyo, he spent the majority of his time in the minors at short, playing 378 games compared to the 32 that he played at second base. So if he's going to be your second baseman, or you're hoping he's going to be your second baseman of next year and future years, then yeah, play him there, get him the reps, and get him comfortable too with playing alongside Ellie up the middle.
Absolutely, and that's certainly a great point, and applies to Marte as well. I mean, I think we've seen him in the outfield so long now at this point that a lot of us forget last year was the first time he ever played an inning in the outfield, and he was doing it at the major league level. And then this year he's played a couple innings for the first time in center field for the first time in his career. So this is all new to both of these guys, and it's expected that it can work. I mean, Novi Marte was a shortstop in this organization, one of the big returns from the Luis Castillo trade. We've seen a lot of success with shortstops moving to the corner outfield with the athleticism and arm strength they have. Marte checks all those boxes. I mean, I think about Fernando Tatis is obviously the dream when you move one of these shortstops to the corner outfield, but Marte has all those tools as well to make a successful switch. I mean, how long has this fan base been asking for an outfielder? Well, the highest ceiling one in this organization right now is Noelvin Marte.
Yeah, and if he could figure it out, then it would be a reason for hope, and that's it. It really is that simple. Like we're going to talk about the trade deadline and everything like that over the next 3 weeks ahead of August 3rd. And a lot of it is going to be, how do you maximize what you have? And part of that is finding a building block or two that we're not anticipating right now. And Marte's probably the most likely candidate. I think a 22-year-old Arroyo could certainly be that. Maybe it's someone else. in AAA, you go that route as the season goes on, maybe. But the bottom line is they don't have enough hitting. They don't have enough guys you can rely on day in, day out. And yesterday's loss is an example of that. And Arroyo and Marte are part of it as of now. But maybe they can be part of the solution. I think we know about some of these other guys that they aren't part of the solution.
At least not right now.
At least not right now. And so find that path. I do wonder, you mentioned the sore cap with McLean. I wonder, easy injured list that road? I don't know, but it's certainly something. Anytime a guy is struggling, is nicked up. Do you give him a 10-day injured list then?
Yeah, the time off would certainly help Matt McLean, but I think the thing that'll help him most at this point is consistent at-bats, and that's why I've been, kind of banging the table to send him down for a while now. I think as he's sitting on the bench, it's a complete waste of another player that has a high ceiling, and we've seen him come close to it before. Now, it hasn't been since the shoulder injury, but trying to get something out of Matt McLain, I think, is the way to go.
You know what that means. Hayes, McLain. Swap. I'm just preparing you.
McLain, Hector.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's on Hector. I know.
Look at that smile.
Is Hector going to be good? Is he going to be able to hit? Is he going to be able to hit the breaking ball?
I don't know, but the guys up here right now can't either. So
that's always the question with the AAA slugger that's hitting 50 home runs.
No question.
He's got 22 last I looked. So
yeah, 2 home runs back-to-back games for Hector. So he's been on a tear since being left off the MLB Top 100, trying to get his way in there before the call-up, and he's certainly close. So we'd love to see him sneak in there the next update and give the Reds an extra one. But another really exciting outfield prospect in this Reds organization that hopefully can answer some of those problems that have existed for years.
I'm hoping that he is one of those solutions. I'm not sure when we'll see it, but I certainly hope to get some answers. I think we all agree. Tissot's take. Play the young guys, because they may give you the best chance to win, and certainly you need to see what you have there. We will continue with the Reds and everything you missed while you slept next, right here on First Word. Thumbs up.
So I got a question for you guys. Yesterday we had a softball game, as we always do on Thursday. My team goes out to dinner afterwards, and I'm presented with a headline. Casey, if you could pull it up here, that'd be great, please. So I don't know if all of you saw this. You guys missed this? And while you slept, there is a black bear that has been making its way across Cincinnati's east side. I bring this up here on the show for 2 reasons. One is to raise awareness for this. If it's brown, lie down. If it's black, fight back. So I just felt like that was really important for Cincinnati residents to understand if you come across this bear. That's absolutely true. But here, I'm going to rank. I need you guys to help me rank things here. What are 4 things that are less likely to see in Cincinnati? Okay, we're going to rank these. We only got 90 seconds to do it. The first one, James Rapien out at lunch with all of us after work. You don't see that very often.
Low.
Okay, well, let me get to the rest of the list. Marisa Contipelli at this desk on a Friday, also very low. Third, Jacob Tissot in a Brendan Sorsby jersey. Or 4, Paul Fritchner in a weight room. I want you to rank all 4 of those things.
I love that he included himself. Because I was like, man, just eviscerating everybody. It's obviously me showing up at lunch.
Yeah. There's absolutely no. I'm going to walk today over to Young Buck Deli, no free ads, but shout out Young Buck Deli, and I'm going to go over there and I'm going to get my chicken parm that they only sell on a Friday, and you're not going to be there. But you never are, so it's okay.
There's no chance. Once. You get me for 1.
The thing is with that list, I think they all share likelihood except for one option. I have a Brendan Sorsby Texas Tech jersey on the way.
You totally failed that one. When you said it, I was like,
on the way.
Yeah, he's a big sword. Real or ridiculous that the Bengals feel like they are legitimate Super Bowl contenders going into training camp?
I think it's absolutely real, and I don't really know how it wouldn't be. And that's, I think, the frustration we had about a week ago when we talked about a lot of the people in the national media talking about the Bengals and their Super Bowl chances. Just they seemed to think it was ridiculous at some points. Well, The Bengals are Super Bowl contenders anytime Joe Burrow's on the field, and the fact that they've added to the defense to have legitimate talent, and there's a conversation that we had yesterday on the show that this Bengals defense could be potentially top 10 in the league. If that's the case, there's no question in my mind they're Super Bowl contenders and should be in the short list of Super Bowl favorites. I think the Bengals have certainly done enough to be in that conversation. They belong in the top 7 or so at worst, I would say, teams in this league to win a Super Bowl, and puts them squarely in the conversation at the top of the AFC East for sure, or AFC North for sure. AFC standings, no question, in terms of one of the teams that I think can win the Super Bowl. There's not a lot of other players or quarterbacks in this league that are on Joe Burrow's level. We all know that, and now he has a defense and rest of the roster to match. So I absolutely think the Bengals are square in this mix to win the Super Bowl. I think it's real.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you these stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Josh is good at counting. On a fired up Friday edition of First Word, I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, every single weekday, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. Let's dive into everything you missed while you slept right here, starting with, well, the Reds. And you didn't miss their bats. In fact, the only thing missing was their bats. 14 strikeouts yesterday and the 1-0 loss to the Phillies. I hate that that's a theme. And yet, here we are again. The Reds only had 3 hits. They failed, despite getting 2 runners on in the 9th, to score any runs, generate any runs, tie the game, do anything at the plate, and unfortunately fall to 42-50 on the season.
You might have been able to catch this one before you slept. Only 8 hits in the game, only 1 run. It was one of the quickest games of the year.
Slept?
It might have been. It might have helped you fall asleep.
Them at the plate?
Yeah. It was one of the quickest games of the year because the Reds pitching was phenomenal last night, and the bats didn't show up. Brady Singer, one of his best starts of the year. If it's not his best start of the year, his best start came 2 starts ago. So he's as hot as he's been in a Reds uniform. 7 1/3, 4 hits, just 1 earned run last night, and it came in the 8th inning, and that was it for the Reds. When you can't get guys on base, and when they are on base, you can't move them over, it's really hard to score runs. And the Reds were shut out last night for what feels like the billionth time, and they continue to lose games where they could push the momentum forward a little bit.
Yeah, Singer was absolutely sensational, and you needed some kind of offense, any type of offense last night. The Reds were just 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position, but this is the 11th time now this season where they've had a game, they've recorded 4 or fewer hits in that game. They are 2-9 in those outings, and beyond that, just the 8th time now this season that they have been shut out. So got to come up with some kind of answers, because when you have an outing like Brady Singer did, you should be a way to come away with a win.
The theme that's starting to run through a lot of these close losses is facing quality pitchers. This lineup can't make contact. The strikeout numbers are massive when you're facing really any quality pitcher for the Reds. 11 strikeouts for Luzardo, the Phillies starter last night, 14 as a whole, which doesn't add to the record-breaking stats you had a couple days ago, but still not pretty for this Reds lineup. And it's one thing to not get hits. It's another thing to not even put the ball in play. And that's what's happening with this Reds lineup. Seems like more often than not over the last few games.
Yeah. There's no doubt. And Sal Stewart, 0 for 4 after we praised him, and he had the record-breaking night. Ellie De La Cruz, 0 for 4. Eugenio Suarez just struck out. He's about to get the Geno Stone treatment. Oh, no. Just struck out at 7 in the morning here. So if you missed it while you slept, well, it just happened again. Here's Terry Francona on the 1-0 loss to the Phillies.
Well, I mean, Blade had a really good at-bat and then did a good job getting the jump, because our thinking is it's going to be hard to string a bunch of hits together off him, which I think is kind of stating the obvious. Once you get in that situation, you're one bad pitch from not just tying it but winning it. He didn't make a bad pitch.
It seemed like Brady was in a really nice rhythm right from the start. What made him not only so effective but efficient tonight?
Well, he sure was. From the very get-go, he was establishing strike one, and his breaking ball was probably as good as we've seen. And then as he established that, you started seeing them try to swing early, and he got a lot of early outs. I thought he pitched his heart out. And it's a shame because, you know, the way they scored, he had an 0-2, guy 0-2 and hit him. And then they put the runner in motion, 0-2, and get the ground ball, so they moved the runner. I thought he pitched really, really well.
On the other side, what was Luzardo doing to kind of keep your bats quiet tonight?
Well, I mean, he's got an upper 90s fastball. Anytime you look at a guy coming in and think he's about 30 hits short of innings, you know, that's and way more strikeout. That's tough recipe.
How hard is it, Terry, when you obviously want guys like Stevenson and Gino in positions like that to drive in the runs, but also want to make contact?
Well, I mean, again, you don't want a guy like Gino just to reach out and try to hit a ground ball to short. That's not going to work. I mean, he's there to try to drive the ball, and you strikeouts are part of it. That's just part of the game.
Why do you feel, or what can be the key to Gino being more statistically lefty than?
Say it again.
What can be the key for Gino statistically being this year more like what he's been in the past? What is he struggling with right now? I guess is another way to say it.
I think it's different at times. There's been times where it looks like he's trying to maybe cheat to the fastball, and then he's committing a little early. Hands are kind of coming forward. It's easy for me to say sitting there when you're 90 feet away, not having to face guys we're facing. I still think he's a guy that when he gets hot, he'll carry us for a while. We just got to get him there.
That courtesy of Reds.tv. Look, Terry Francona at a loss for words clearly with some of this because it's been the same old song and dance, same old story. 14 strikeouts, no runs, 3 hits. Tough to win any game when you're not going to hit with runners on, and when they did get runners on in the ninth, they did not take advantage.
Yeah, it feels like every time now I watch these Terry Francona press conferences, I'm wanting more. I just don't know what more there is for him to say at this point. He's not going to go sit up there and say the players aren't good enough. He's not going to go sit up there and say he needs to make changes by the deadline and they need to make big swings for trades. There's no real case to fix the pieces he has right now. This is the lineup for the Reds. These are the players for the Reds, at least for the 2026 season. So got to just hope they get better and start making contact.
Yeah, it is what it is right now for the Reds. We'll dive more into the Reds coming up in a bit, but tonight, well, a TQL friendly FC Cincinnati welcoming Burnley FC to town, and I'm excited for this one. I think you guys are excited for this one. They practice, by the way, at the practice fields across from Paycor Stadium, so I think that's pretty cool. They were at Paycor as well. It's been cool to see them integrate into the Cincinnati lifestyle this week for sure.
Yeah, that's been really neat to see that, you know, they've not only made stops over at Paycor Stadium, but also at Great American Ballpark and taking in some Reds baseball. And I love when teams, you know, do this when they're coming over to, you know, a new place, a new location, immersing themselves in that city and the different, you know, culture that is here in Cincinnati. And this is the first time since 2016 where FC Cincinnati is hosting an English team over here at TQL Stadium. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one tonight.
It's always cool when the pro teams in one city, you know, all work together, all are together in a way. And it's cool to see the Bengals and the Reds continue to support FCC. And games should be fun tonight. It looks like it's going to be a solid crowd, and it's always cool to see the MLS teams take on some of that European talent.
I'm jealous that they get to work out at the Bengals facility, because I've been asking the Bengals to let me work out there during the press conference for years, and they've laughed at me every time. So shout out to Burnley for getting that opportunity and making the most of it. Did you see the guy on the ball just now? He was doing his little core exercises, which is a very normal move. If LeBron did that, would he get mocked?
Probably.
It's a very normal exercise. I just want to throw that one out there as well. But looking forward to tonight's friendly, and our friend Nick Haglin in FC Cincinnati tonight against Burnley. Maybe J.J. Watt is going to do a video. A lot of we reached out. Our guy Adam Bowden reached out. JJ, I don't think he's responded yet. So
still this time.
Yeah,
we're on till 11.
Call in right now. We'll do audio only. We don't need you on video. It's no problem, JJ. But yeah, let's continue with our man Paulie Fritchner. Paulie Scoops had the latest on the CareSource Invitational on the Rebound Rundown yesterday. You got Ohio State, UC Dayton, and Xavier playing at the Lindner Family Tennis Center on October 7th. It's an exhibition, and I don't care. I love this. It's really awesome. UC versus OSU, Xavier Dayton, sign me up.
Yeah, really the most surprising thing about this to me yesterday is that it wasn't a 100% approval rate. I think this is awesome. I don't know why anyone would be upset that some of the best teams locally are going to play each other before the season in a place where you can go watch it. I think that is awesome for everyone, fans and players and these teams. I mean, I think it's always a good thing when UC and Ohio State are playing on the same field or on the same court. These rivalries regionally are part of what makes college sports so great, and with all the conference realignment over the last 20 plus years, they've sort of fallen out of the consistent schedule of the game. So the more and more we can do this stuff before the season, I am all in. I absolutely love it.
I am so excited. Get my Buckeyes down here in Cincinnati. This is a phenomenal move to make this happen. Maybe the only complaint you can make is that it's not in the regular season, that it's just an exhibition game. But I'm with you. I don't, quite understand how people have a problem or an issue with this happening.
Because it wasn't, can it be a regular season game in regular season tournament? Or exhibition, let's pick exhibition. It was have it or not.
Right.
Like, that's the difference. And so, yeah, in an ideal world, by the way, UC and Ohio State and Xavier and Dayton would be playing in the Final Four. And this would be the Final Four. So if we're playing like pie in the sky ideal. But this is a good step. And I foresee some kind of wager between Marisa and I on this exhibition.
1,000%. We'll come up with something.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, you can't. You're a Crimson Tide basketball
Well,
fan.
if they come up here, I'll place a bet with either one of you.
Spoiler. They're not coming up here.
That's true.
And that's the way we like it. NCAA had this eligibility ruling. It was pretty big. Paul Frischner, who's in the room right now. It's just page views, engagement, Paulie scoops, you could say whatever, but an Ohio judge granted a preliminary injunction to players suing for age-based eligibility. So eligible for now. We will see if that is the case in a few months, but certainly eligible for now.
I think we're all seasoned veterans in the temporary injunction game at this point. Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt. They can play for now. I'm sure there'll be another lawsuit in a couple weeks, and we'll see what happens. But as of right now, these players are eligible, some UC and Xavier players involved.
MJ Collins, the Bearcats, Marisa doesn't want that on exhibition season on October 7th. Not MJ. No.
Oh, got to play against the best. No, Paul, phenomenal work, especially yesterday, breaking all of this news and all of your coverage. You deserve all of the kudos and props to you. Were working hard yesterday, man.
Yeah. Whew. Today, just a normal day. But yesterday, Paul Sharani.
That's right.
Paulie Scoops is the one, I think. I think that's the one that's going to hold up because big ice cream guy as well. We're going to get into Christian Pulisic coming up later. But Christian Pulisic, hurt.
Yeah.
And it's a real injury, all the grief he's taken while he suffered a microfracture and a bone bruise. And look, I think the microfracture part of this coming out, he's probably all the blowback, all the pushback he's gotten. And he's like, hey, by the way, I had a microfracture and a bone bruise, and that's part of why I left that match in what ultimately was a 3-0 loss to Belgium.
Yeah.
Or 3-1 loss to Belgium, excuse me.
Right, yeah, they did score one. But no, it's interesting that this came out when it did. Like you said, we're going to be talking more about Pulisic and all of what's kind of, encompassed him over the last few days coming up later in the show. But I don't have any issue or qualm with him leaving the match due to injury. It was really his post-game comments, and I know we're going to talk about that more later.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're hurt, you're hurt. I think the frustrating thing at this point is this just seems to be the thing with Pulisic. He continues to battle injuries, and the biggest moment, he doesn't seem to be 100%. And it's frustrating when he's the face of United States soccer. He's supposed to be the catalyst of this team, and he's really been unable to be on the field in those big moments at this point. So it's frustrating, but it's certainly, if you're hurt, you're hurt. So, certainly come out of the game.
Yeah, that's part of it. By the way, it was 4-1. I wasn't including the garbage time goal. Pulisic was not on the field for that one, by the way. So yeah, you mentioned that. Regardless, they got beat. Christian made some comments. I think that's where a lot of the criticism comes from. Like Marisa said, we'll dive into that at the same time. Yeah, if you have a microfracture, I'm not shocked that he didn't play through it. At the same time, would I have been shocked if he did play through it? I would not have been shocked by that either. And so I think that's fair. Real quick before we get out of here, France, our guy Nick Hagland, second time mentioned here in While You Slept, said France before the World Cup. And it's not like he was on a limb here. They were one of the best teams. They handled Morocco, and they continue to advance here. They are in the semifinals.
Yeah, it's hard to not, feel like France is just going to continue to be the favorites until they're not. They are just playing such great ball right now, and especially look at Mbappe. He had a goal and an assist in yesterday's match, and he is now the first player to have 8 or more goals in 2 different World Cups. As you have the Golden Boot tracker, him and Messi both have 8 goals this World Cup. And a stat I came across, and I think I stared at this for 30 seconds before it really registered. So the most World Cup goals of all time. You have Messi, who leads the way with 21. Mbappe right behind him at 20. Mbappe has only played in 20 World Cup games. Let that sink in. He is 1 goal behind the GOAT, and he has played in 20 World Cup games.
He's scored in every knockout round game that he's ever played in.
He's going to pass it.
Probably.
He's going to finish this World Cup with more goals than Messi. I don't know if that's a take. He's only 1 away. He'll finish with more.
Yeah, I hope that
he's going to play in 2 more. He'll play in 2 more. So
yeah,
just a matter of if Argentina is going to be
Messi,
in those games too.
I said what I said.
I want the rematch.
Oh, sure.
3 straight semifinals for France. 1 France versus Argentina again.
Well, sure. We'll see. I was just making a little prediction there. That's all I was doing, making a little prediction. Looking ahead, are the Reds going to make a gigantic change? Should they make a gigantic change? We'll dive into that. Plus, Dexter Lawrence, under the radar. It's hard to be that big and under the radar. I think that's official. We'll dive into that and more next, right here on First Word. And so when I see offseason winners lists, I always expect, just naturally, oh, well, the Bengals will be on it. Maybe they're not 1 or 2. The Bengals are going to be on the list. They'll be in the top 5, certainly, because they should be. They added some key pieces. It would make sense. Well, not according to Josh Edwards. Let's take a look at this list here, courtesy of CBS Sports, where, wait, the Bengals they didn't even have the best offseason for an Ohio team? That, according to this CBS Sports ranking, the Browns lead the way, followed by the Raiders, Jets, Rams, Titans, and we're going to break this down. Then the Chiefs, Panthers, Commanders, Texans, 49ers. Look, Jacob, when I see this, the fact that the Bengals are nowhere to be found is shocking to me, especially when you look at a lot of those teams. I'd be stunned if the Bengals weren't far better than them. But when you look at where they were last year, a 6-win team, there's a reason expectations are really high. There's a reason why they're right there with the Ravens in the mix to win the AFC North from an odds standpoint. It's because they added a lot of pieces this offseason. I don't know how you can look at that and say they didn't have a top 10 offseason for what they did this offseason. So, over, under 3,000 yards receiving for both Jamar and T combined this season. Oh, come on.
I can't. How am I? You guys.
You? What do you mean, you guys?
3,000 yards. The most that they've ever combined in their careers together, exactly, was just over 2,600. So you're telling me, where are these other 400 yards coming from? When you have an offense that needs to feed Mike Gesicki, you need to feed. You're not going to feed Mike Gesicki?
Not if I can feed Tim Jamar.
But needs is relative. Needs, not Mike. Don't make it about Mike. The word needs is what stood out.
Well, you need to feed Chase Brown. That I will stand by that one.
That's fair.
But no, you have so many offensive, options on this team. T and Jamar are going to be double teamed at times too. So there's that factor in it as well. However, this is also a team where we're expecting to be good, to be better this season, to be playing ahead with leads. They're going to be running the ball a lot more later in games. At least I'm expecting them to. I'm hoping they are, because if they're down and they're throwing, then there are other problems at hand. I realistically just don't see them getting over that 3,000 mark. I could see them getting between 2,700, 2,800, but not over 3.
Wow. So you think they're going to get really close?
I think they'll be close. I just don't think they'll get over.
Cincinnati, home to more than a dozen Fortune 500 companies. A city where you know someone who knows someone, and you're in business. Every weekday at noon, The Working Lunch brings you headlines from local businesses, along with exclusive interviews with owners and local leaders. East Side, West Side, northern suburbs, downtown over the Rhine, and northern Kentucky. Real conversations, real Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, weekdays at noon, only on The Crown.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, and the Reds have stunk up the joint since May 1st. The worst team in baseball. They've won a whopping 22 games since winning 20 in April. 22.
You should win more games in 2 months than 1 month.
2 months in 10 days, 9 days. We won't count today yet. Today hasn't happened in Reds land.
They can win today.
They could. That's what I mean.
Hypothetically.
So 2 months and 9 days, 22 wins. First month, 20 wins. All of that points to 16 and a half back in the Central. All of that points to 9 back in the wild card race. And for more on what needs to change, Clay Snowden is here of justbaseball.com. And Clay, I appreciate the time. The moment I saw your article this week, which I loved, and I think a lot of Reds fans loved, I was like, man, it would be cool to talk to you about this. And the title alone, it's time for a front office change in Cincinnati. You didn't pull any punches with this. You think Nick Krall is a big issue in that Reds front office. What led you, high level, what led you to writing this article?
Article that you could have written many times before the time that I wrote it, but I tried to be as fair as possible. I'm not coming in to be emotional and react to every single move. And I needed to give Nick Krall time to allow his players to at least establish themselves, allow some of his trades to show what they could be. But at the end of the day, we know what these players are now. We've seen players come and go. We've seen the prospects that he brought back from the rebuilds come and more or less be ready to go. So for me, it just felt like time. After firing David Bell, as we all know in sports, that's what happens. You fire the coach, that's step one. You get about a year or two, then the GM goes, and you do it all over again. So, James, I don't know what else to say besides all of the evidence is in front of us. Mm-hmm. And the evidence shows that a change needs to happen.
Yeah, the thing you led off with is one of the most maddening quotes that is brought up. It's probably second in Reds history. Where are you going to go is one. Two is eliminating the peaks and valleys. No one should ever want to eliminate the peaks, and yet that's something that's referred to often, especially this time of year with the Reds having won 22 games in 9 weeks or so.
Yeah, the Reds have kind of been known, Nick Krall especially, to be a PR disaster. And I am not trained in PR whatsoever, but I understand things you do and don't say, and he apparently does not. And we've seen this time and time again. And I kind of get what he was trying to say, right? That they didn't want to just go all in all the time and then have these massive chunks. But the idea of just kind of like floating around the middle and hoping that the Cubs are down 1 year and the Brewers' magic somehow doesn't work and you win 88 games, like that's just a horrible place to be in as well. So I know that all of this will come back to people saying ownership, ownership, ownership. And that is not to discredit them. That is true. The Reds need better ownership. But you can't change that. Like, that will not change. What you can change is the people under them working. And what we've seen is anybody in that front office has a small, small margin. And you have to be very, very good in order to win when the margins are that small. We know that Nick Krall is not good enough to do so.
In my opinion, one of the hardest things to do when evaluating Nick Krall is separating what he's done from the limitations from the ownership group. How do you come to the conclusion that potentially Nick Krall isn't the right one for the job and the next person to fill those shoes wouldn't deal with some of the same struggles?
I think that they will. I actually think that the same struggles will be there. And that's kind of what I was trying to say, Jacob, is when you have so little resources, you have to be that much better. You know what I mean? So for the next person to come in, is it going to be an easy job or are they going to automatically be better? No, I'm not necessarily saying that, but that doesn't mean that a change shouldn't happen. We shouldn't just be okay with what we've seen the past few years and say, well, it couldn't possibly get better. You have to try something new after this many years with Nick Krall at the helm. So the next person that comes in, they have to be an extremely good GM. Like extremely good, because they don't have the resources that can cover up mistakes like we've seen in LA or New York or, Chicago, these big markets. So whoever does come in next is not going to have more resources, but what they need to do is just be smarter. And we're kind of seeing that happening in Miami right now. They had bad GM, bad GM, bad GM. Now they've kind of hit this higher where he's doing well enough that you're seeing the same resources, but the trades are better. The creativity is better. They're able to find those pitchers who they got off of waivers, who was a reliever, and turn him into a starter like they did with Tyler Phillips. Like, we're seeing some smarter work out of GMs, and that's what the Reds need to find. And, of course, the only way to find it is to hire somebody new.
You mentioned in the article some of the trades Nick Krall has made to try to jumpstart this rebuild before Ellie and a lot of this core were called up in 2023. A lot of those prospects aren't here anymore. How much does making trades like that don't pan out affect a team in the position of the Reds that can't play in the top fields of free agency?
You have to hit on draft first and then trade second. If you're not drafting well, then you will not win. And the Reds draft has produced several great players. And I wrote a previous article about their pitching development. Outside of those first-round picks, I mean, we're talking top 10 picks. It's a lot easier to hit on those, a lot less development needed. And what's happening with the Reds is not only are they not developing enough players who are coming in those mid to late rounds, even if they're just serviceable, they come up and they're a utility infielder. Like finding that, then you don't have to spend $4 million on one, right? But the trades, those were supposed to propel this whole thing. They were supposed to create this nucleus of the Reds core going forward. And we looked at it, 2024, everyone wait till 2024. That's the beginning of the window. That came, that went. 2025, well, these guys are still finding their footing. Let's see what they are. They play a full season. Oh, wow, that looks pretty similar to last year or the year before. The growth's not linear. And then you come into this year and we're seeing Matt McClain. I mean, he is still struggling. That was a draft pick. We don't even have CES anymore, right? Spencer Steer had a really good month. He did. And I think he's a serviceable player. But at the end of the day, he's more or less a replacement level player. Now, you can have that on your team if you have 6 or 7 other guys better than him, and the Reds don't. And a lot of that has to do with the trades on the pitching side of things. Connor Phillips, Brandon Williamson, Justin Dunn, like the list goes on of these players that they've tried to bring in and tried to make part of the nucleus, and it's just fallen off. It's pretty amazing how many of those players we can legitimately say, even projecting forward, are not going to be true impact players.
You hit on as well different free agent signings, and heck, just going to last night, Eugenio Suarez strikes out, 2 runners on, go-ahead runner on first. I mean, it's just been 3 days ago, he strikes out with a chance at 4-1 to rally back against the Phillies. Like, Eugenio Suarez is the latest, but they've failed in free agency. With those limited resources, it's not like they've hit it big there either, even this year, reuniting with a familiar face.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I think you needed to give him time and why I did write this article 2 years ago, even though I probably could have, is because GMs, even really good ones, hit on about 60% of their trades, their free agent signings, any way that they acquire players. So, when you miss on Mike Moustakas. Like, okay, that was a weird move to begin with.
Yes.
Having him as the second baseman, like, odd move. Jamer Candelario, like, oh gosh. And now Suarez, and Suarez just looks awful. And that's one that I could have even said, like, I would have given him a pass if he had made some quote unquote wins in prior years. Because Suarez was awesome, and he's a fan favorite. It was a 1-year deal. Like, it all made sense. And at least he added a power bat, which is something they desperately needed. So I understood it. I even liked the move in the time. But I guess we know why he was available for 1 year and the money he was. Everyone else saw something that I guess none of us did. And right now he is really hurting this team. And it's the type of Suarez that we've seen in previous years be successful. A lot of strikeouts, a lot of frustration. But every fourth day, he hits a home run. And it kind of erases the previous 12 at-bats that were ugly, right? He's just not hitting the power at the rate that erases our memory. So now we're sitting here with weeks at a time. I mean, that home run in Pittsburgh, I believe it was, felt so massive, not only because of where it came in the game, because we are trying to just crawl it and scratch and crawl at any sign of life from Suarez. And seeing him hit that particular home run a week or two ago felt massive. But that just really tells us where we are with him as a player. And in many ways, it represents what this organization has been in the free agent market.
You touch on the shortcomings with trades and also with the prospects they've had in their own system development-wise. I think so much of the frustration is emphasized right now because the core of this Reds team are stars that a lot of teams in contention would kill to have. Chase Burns, Hunter Green, Ellie De La Cruz. How much does the success of those top guys really make the other failures that much harder to swallow?
It does. And the one thing about that is you still have life. Like, this isn't a talentless team, which we have seen in previous years, where this is supposed to be the year you take a step forward and you look around and you say, there's really nothing here that I trust to keep long term. And that's part of the reason why the timing of the article, too, was this is a chance you have to move on, bring in someone new, and give them an opportunity to create something before you have to talk about moving Ellie De La Cruz, moving Chase Burns, Hunter Green. The list goes on of kind of, the young core that's actually good and actually somebody who you'd want to see stick around in Cincinnati. So if you bring somebody in new now, they at least have an opportunity to trade, move pieces, sign different free agents, and give somebody else a crack. And you could say, yeah, there's a 5% chance that works. Okay, well, what message are we sending to players? If we are the same people in the offseason yelling and screaming about how we want to spend money, we want to re-sign our own players, we want to extend these talents, show the team that you're serious about winning. Show the team that after this many years of failing and free agents falling through, and the Hunter Green deal was great, and I will not say that it has been nothing but zeros here. That's not true at all. The Hunter Green deal is great. How do you get more of those? You got to convince these players that Cincinnati is an organization that wants to win. And maybe that just leads us right back into the ownership conversation that we've all had so many times. But you have to try. Sitting on your hands and hoping Nick Krall in year 8 or whatever it is, 9, says, oh, no, I figured it out now. That's not a successful path.
Yeah, as you were mentioning that, I was just thinking about Kyle Schwarber, and they clearly couldn't convince him that they were that winning organization that he could come here and win with. When it comes to Nick Krall, I know you wrote for JustBaseball.com. You wrote about the Reds being sellers, and it's something we're certainly going to talk about ahead of the trade deadline next month. Nick Krall's going to probably be in charge of that. How nervous should Reds fans be about him leading the show here and potentially controlling the buying, selling aspect of the Reds ahead of the deadline?
Yeah, it gets scary. We've all seen teams in other sports do this as well, where you have a GM that knows he's kind of at the end, and sometimes they get aggressive because who cares if this doesn't pan out in 3 years? I won't be here. I need to do anything I can for job security. So is there a chance, kind of a spin zone would be like, could Nick Krall be more aggressive than he's ever been to try to salvage his own job? I don't know. I don't know if ownership would even allow that or how much say they have in those type of moves. But if they do turn to sell, which I do think is the right move, they have some pieces that they could sell. JJ Bleday, I don't think he's bringing, even when he was on his hottest streak, I did not think that he was going to bring in a big time prospect. The reason why is he was on that free agent market for $1.4 million. Like other teams could have had him. And that doesn't mean that he hasn't changed and he doesn't have more value than he did in December. But I don't think he's bringing anything back more than a mid-tier prospect. Once you go down the list, Tyler Stevenson, same boat for me. There are several teams this deadline that need catching up. And that could help boost up his trade value, especially when you look around and you see how few catchers are out there at the deadline. Ryan Jeffers is probably the biggest one, and he's currently injured. The Twins are playing well enough that they could even keep him. So the catching market's going to be one to watch. I do think Stevenson needs to be moved. And then, of course, as always, every deadline you see a ton of bullpen arms go.
He is Clay Snowden of JustBaseball.com. Clay, you're the man. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Have a good one.
We will continue the conversation next right here on First Wave.
This city has always had something to prove. While the rest of the country talked about us, we built our own voice. Blue collar, underdogs, built differently, overlooked, talked about like we were supposed to stay quiet. But that was never who we were, because this city doesn't wait for permission. And neither do we. And now, for the first time, Cincinnati has a network built in its image, because the biggest stories in this city deserve more than highlights. This isn't cable television. This isn't national media. This is ours. This is the Crown.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones, a Cincinnati native, and I have been in media for about 10 years now. Formerly on the radio here in Cincinnati, I grew my love and obsession with finding all things fun in Cincinnati and have now made it my life. I'm originally from the west side here, and then I've pretty much been a downtown girl ever since college. But I did leave for 7 years, and during that time, I really grew and harnessed and cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, learning how to ski in Colorado, and now I'm back here in Cincinnati, driven by curiosity and grounded by family.
Vacation edition, the lounge edition of Countdown.
I'm getting a good stretch.
Yeah, there we go. You need it, man.
I know.
You are not the most malleable.
That's better than the other options you could have went with.
Yeah, probably. I was trying to figure out a good one. All right, let's dive into it. From basketball. We're going to stick with basketball.
This one's yours.
This is my favorite
Unbelievable.
thing ever. Shaquille O'Neal trying to test his reaction time. This I mean, it's just not even close, Shaq. My man, what are you Yay! Play it again, Gabe. Hold on. Let that run for a minute, because this is my favorite thing.
Man.
He's so dialed. And look.
The best is number
this one.
Whatever, like 7 or 8, where he doesn't even look.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. I'm going to get you. Man. I'm going to get you.
No. This one. And he doesn't even turn. He didn't even see it. This is the best, or one of the best centers of all time. No reaction time.
I'm Paul Fritchner. I'm a 2019 graduate of Xavier University, and I've been covering college basketball for 10 years here in the Cincinnati area. I'm the host of the Rebound Rundown, a daily college basketball podcast during the season and a weekly show in the offseason covering everything you need to know about your favorite team. And if you're not a fan of a team here in Cincinnati, I have you covered from the national perspective as well. Follow it on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Really good stuff there from Clay Snowden right here on First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Jacob Tissot. Coming up at 9 a.m., we will switch gears. But I think that Nick Krall conversation is going to continue to get louder and louder with the more the Reds struggle.
Absolutely. And the more clear it becomes that they're most likely going to be sellers at the deadline, the fear that Clay mentioned right there, that Krall's going to be in charge of it again, is something that's on my mind. I mean, we talked about the trades that he's made with Cy Young contenders and Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray, some really exciting players in Suarez the first go-around, and Jesse Winker that he shipped off, and hasn't been able to really show a lot with those returns so far. So hopefully it's different this deadline if they make the same types of moves.
Up next, will the Bengals do what Marisa Contipelli has been talking about for months? We'll dive into that right here on First Word.
Cincinnati, Ohio. We welcome you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Nick had with the fan favorite to put it away. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, what a catch. Cincinnati can scores and the Reds win.
That being said, that's what makes this free agency period so interesting is LeBron, he's going to take less. He's not going to get a max deal. Is he waiting for the Cavaliers to add and do the Jaylen Brown? Like, if they could have added Jaylen Brown, is LeBron a Cav right now?
Potentially.
Well, you know,
it would be done in my mind.
Yeah, right? So, like, that's what I think is interesting now is he's watching these teams, and if he's willing to sign for less than he's ever signed before, from a salary standpoint, what are these teams willing to do to get that deal done and then also get LeBron in town?
No, it's a great question, and that's what makes me wonder, like, how long is this going to be dragged out when on LeBron watch, and is he really going to wait until the very end of free agency once everything kind of falls into place for all these other teams to make his movement and to pick where he wants to play next?
And so much of the conversation that, you know, his agent, Rich Paul, is meeting with every team in the league until the teams are dropping out of contention for him, and so far we've seen the Spurs and the Lakers be removed from that watch, but I have a hard time believing LeBron's actually talking to every team. Right. He's not going to, you know, go play for Memphis or you know, some of these small market teams. It's not on the table in my mind. So I think it's really a 5 or 6 team race with 3 clearly ahead, and it's the 3 everyone's been talking about. It's Miami, Cleveland, and Golden State, with a couple others throwing their hat in the ring. Denver was mentioned obviously by Windy yesterday, and I think Sixers would be really, really fun. But I still just imagine that those 3 are worlds ahead of the other 27 in the league when you're looking at where LeBron will play next year.
Cincinnati, home to more than a dozen Fortune 500 companies. A city where you know someone who knows someone and you're in business. Every weekday at noon, The Working Lunch brings you headlines from local businesses, along with exclusive interviews with owners and local leaders. East Side, West Side, northern suburbs, downtown, over the Rhine, and northern Kentucky. Real conversations, real Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley. Weekdays at noon, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network. Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you these stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Welcome to First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show, breaking down the biggest moments and the stories shaping Cincinnati sports with analysis that cuts through. First Word, setting the agenda in Cincinnati sports.
We set the agenda every morning right here on First Word, 7 to 11, always open, and we are excited to be here with you on a Fired Up Friday edition with you till 11 o'clock. Let's dive in. He's Jacob Tissot. That's Marisa Contipelli. I'm James Rapien. And this is the Will Marisa Get Her Wish block of the show. Will Marisa get her wish? It's the ask that it's the question I'm asking, and it's the question hopefully we can answer over the next few minutes, because Marisa has been asking, look at her, asking for a Bobby for months. And months and months and months. Sign a Bobby.
No longer a Bobby, sign Bobby. The
We
Bobby.
lost one of our whiteboards because she put that in Sharpie on that one, and she's just using it every day now. We walk in here, we got to go get an extra whiteboard.
Fair.
We had to dock $7 out of Rodney's paycheck
That's right.
to get a new
line it up.
whiteboard. We could. This may work.
We can figure this
kind
out.
of a heavy bottle.
Oh, wow.
Bang.
I didn't think that was actually going to work.
It's close. No cigar.
Look at us using our resources.
Come on, Jack's remote work.
Phenomenal.
This is my
Good.
favorite.
That's the good stuff.
It's gonna fall in like 2 seconds, but
Real
it's
loud.
out right now. Will Marisa get her wish? Well, if CBS Sports has anything to say about it, she will get her wish, because Bobby Wagner was mentioned as Brian DiArdo went through and he played matchmaker for NFL teams. And Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, all these guys landing in different spots. DeAndre Hopkins, he has Bobby Wagner landing with the Bengals. He wrote, 36-year-old Wagner is truly an ageless wonder. 4.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 162 tackles last year, has over 2,000 for his career. I know the answer here for Marisa, but I'm going to start with her anyway. Buy or sell that the Bengals should have real interest, that Brian is right, they should be interested in Bobby Wagner.
How fast can I buy this? This might be the fastest I've ever bought anything in my life. Anything, ever.
Wow.
No, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Okay.
I mean, Bobby Wagner has just been the definition of consistent throughout his NFL career. 14 years in the league, he has never had less than 100 tackles per season, and he's been named to the NFL Top 100 list now 11 consecutive years. He came in at number 81 for this past season, and you look at just kind of his numbers and taking a deeper dive into his PFF grades from 2025, he graded at a 78.6 overall amongst all linebackers. That was 9th best among 88 qualifying backers. Barrett Carter came in 85th on that list. Demetrius Knight 83rd on that list. So at the very least, Bobby Wagner would be a welcome presence, a nice veteran in that room to two now sophomore linebackers who, yeah, we're expecting them to make improvements, to take that next step. We had Barrett Carter on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about how him and Demetrius are poised to take that jump this year. But you're not going to tell me they're going to jump from 83rd, 85th, all the way into, the top 10 amongst qualifying linebackers. So I think Bobby Wagner, a veteran, consistent presence in that linebackers room would just be a fantastic and phenomenal addition.
Buy or sell that they should sign Bobby Wagner?
I wanted to buy it too, but I think Marissa's bought every available stock over the last few months.
Forced to sell?
I'm buying it. Absolutely, I'm buying it in theory, but there's no stock left. Yeah.
Out of order. Just not there?
No.
Shelves gone?
I like that it seems like every one of these best free agent additions, matchmaker types of things so far this offseason is on the same page, that Bobby Wagner and the Bengals is a match made in heaven. I mean, just talking with Barrett Carter when he joined us about what the struggles were last year with two rookie linebackers, I think about how much it could have changed the defense last season without the other additions to the Bengals defense they made this offseason, having a veteran linebacker, much less one of Bobby Wagner's caliber in that room. I think it would certainly help this year. I just wonder at this point if the Bengals would be willing to guarantee a starting spot. And I feel like that is something that a player of Bobby Wagner's caliber, top 100 player last year, according to his peers, would be willing to do if that's not guaranteed. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they absolutely should be interested. I think it helps everyone, and I think it makes the linebacker room line up with the rest of the defense in terms of what they did this offseason, or at least get much closer to it. You made big swings to improve the defensive line, the secondary, really everything on the defense going into this season to turn things around from the last three when the Bengals have been sitting at home in the playoffs. Sign Bobby Wagner and just complete the full circle.
Exactly.
I think I buy that they should, for sure. I buy that they should sign Bobby Wagner. A lot of what you guys had to say, but it really is simple. It's clearly a weakness on paper. Maybe it won't be 2 months from now. Maybe you'll feel so good about Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight and Oren Burks and someone else. Shaka Hayward's going to continue to play better, and suddenly those are your four linebackers. Maybe that's the case. But if it isn't the case, then this glaring hole, this glaring need, this glaring issue that is very, very clear on paper is going to be screaming at you, and it's going to be harder to fill, and that's it. That's where I come into it. It's just raise the floor of the room. Like, if at worst it's Bobby Wagner, because I've seen some of the negative comments. What people are saying is, oh, he's slow, he's older, he can't cover anymore. Do you really want a guy who can't cover on the field? And it's like, fine, but he can tackle. Like, he's going to raise the floor of that room, even if he's flawed and he's not what he once was. The floor is higher, and that's what you're hoping for Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight to do. Is to just be solid. They're going to be flawed. They're not going to be perfect. They won't be all pros or Pro Bowlers this year. Sorry, even in the good scenarios, that's not the case. Right. So why not? And so there's one. On the other side, and this one's much more interesting, buy or sell that the Bengals will have real interest in Bobby Wagner. And I'm selling that. I think they're going to say a lot of those things that I just said. Old, slow, can't get sideline to sideline anymore, can't cover like we want him to, doesn't fit what we're trying to do. I think that's what they're going to view it as. Not that that's fair, even though a lot of it probably is. I don't want Bobby Wagner in coverage. I don't feel good about that. You look at him last year in a Commander's uniform versus what Bobby Wagner looked like 10 years ago, and it looks like a different version. But he's still making plays. He still commands respect in the locker room. A clip that I tweeted out, I think it was last weekend, was him in the top 100. He's 81st overall in the NFL top 100. And just the respect he commands is huge. That leadership element that we talked with Dan Hort about yesterday, that Dexter Lawrence has brought, that some of these other guys, Brian Cook has brought, Bobby Wagner still has that because the skins are on the wall. But I'm going to sell it. I don't think that they will show real interest in Bobby Wagner.
I completely understand the argument for you have Demetrius and Barrett, two young linebackers. They've invested a lot in. You played last season so they could go through some of those ups and downs and learn from it, grow from it. Completely understand that. I want to talk about the depth aspect that you brought up. So after those two guys, you have Oren Burks, and you've got Shaka Hayward, Joe Giles Harris, and then a lot of question marks then in the back end of that room. You're one injury away from really, having a massive question mark around linebacker. And I like Oren Burks. There's nothing against Oren Burks, but he's not the type that's should come in and be, like, let's say an injury happens to Demetrius or Barrett. Oren Burks, in his career, has never had more than 48 tackles combined in a single season, and that came last year with the Cincinnati team. He's more of a role player, will play on special teams at times too. And you look at even his grade, you talk about Bobby Wagner's coverage grade. Yeah, it was 51st out of 88 qualified linebackers last year. Not great. Oren Burks was 88 out of 88.
That was the setup, and I felt it.
So that's the thing. Like at the very least, he's an upgrade of a depth piece. Even if he's not going to come in and start, even though I think he would absolutely push to make the case to be a starter.
Do you think they will realistically show interest between now and?
I feel like they should. I feel like they should. Whether or not they would actually sign him, to your points, I feel like at the bare minimum, show interest. He's one of the top free agents on the market still, and linebacker to me is still a need.
But I have a scenario that I want to run past you guys after. Go.
The only reason I'm even leaving the door open that they still could possibly is because they've done so much they've never done before this offseason. I wouldn't have thought they could trade for Dexter Lawrence. I wouldn't have thought they went and signed a lot of the guys they went and signed in free agency. So the fact that we are sitting here right now with the roster looking like what it's looking like, and the glaring hole in that defense is linebacker, that's why I do think the door is open. I would sell it if the two options are to buy or sell, but I do think it's more feasible than it has been in years past, just based on the way they addressed every other position and how much they deviated from what they normally do.
So you're buying that the door is cracked on Bobby Wagner?
It's not completely locked.
All right. So let's just say the Bengals call Bobby Wagner's agent. He says, yeah, we'd love to come there. I want to start. What do you do if you're the Bengals?
I still sign him, and I say, yeah, you get to start one season, have one of the other two young linebackers, learn from them. It's not that you're moving on from those guys. Mm-hmm. They could still be cornerstone pieces of this defense for years to come, but there's no harm in learning from one of the best in the game.
I would absolutely do that with Bobby Wagner.
So you guarantee him a starting
job? I do not think the Bengals would. So that's essentially where I lie with this. If that question is asked by Bobby Wagner and his representation, I think that ends Bobby Wagner to the Bengals. Unless he's still on the market as we get into, say, the early weeks of the season, and one of those injuries does happen. I wonder if at that point you can re-enter some of those negotiations, go, and then obviously he can start if one of those injuries pops up. Obviously that's not a route you want to go, but I'm surprised that he's still available right now. So at some point he's going to get signed by somebody, I would imagine, and maybe that happens in the season when he gets a team close to contention that he can start on.
Do you think at this point in his career, he's almost kind of waiting for that to see maybe if a training camp early season injury pops up, what team makes the most sense for him to sign
And
with?
Is he fine hanging up the cleats if that opportunity doesn't come? I absolutely think that's
such a hard time
possibility.
seeing him retire, though.
Crossed 2,000 tackles last year. Felt like he checked off a significant number of milestones last season.
A bad team.
I feel like he would have done it already, though. Right?
Maybe he's waiting for that starting job to pop up, one of those injuries in training camp. But I do think at some point, a player who's probably going to be in Canton at the end of his career, it's, how long are you willing to wait in order to get that starting job? And I think at some point in this offseason or early in the season, waiting for the phone to ring doesn't outweigh, necessarily hanging him up. So I think that is on the table for Bobby Wagner. We had the conversation a couple weeks ago with Joey Bosa, which seemed like as he progressed through the offseason, seemed like the opportunities he was hoping for weren't out there, led to his retirement. I think Bobby Wagner's in the same boat. Certainly think he'd play if that opportunity presents itself. I just don't know if it is out there or he would have signed already.
That's graphic we just had on the screen. That's clean. 2,000 tackles on the dot.
It is clean. It is clean. I think Bobby's going to play this year. I think he's going to get opportunities. I think he would embrace, and I don't know this, but I think he would love the idea of joining a defense that has Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen and B.J. Hill and should be able to keep him clean because he can go make more of those tackles and get to 2,100 plus tackles and have another 100 tackle season, which I think is realistic if you sign him. I would be willing to more than say, hey, yeah, come start. Here's why the Bengals won't. They didn't even do it with Dalton Risner, who was clearly better than Lucas Patrick. Clearly. When they signed Lucas Patrick, we were like, well, what about Dalton Risner? And I think the Bengals knew that. And part of it last year was like, all right, well, this is the budget for this. And I wonder after everything they've done. So, yeah, maybe we'll sign a linebacker, but here's the budget. And I don't know if Bobby Wagner's asking price, whatever it is going to go down. And I do wonder how much interest they truly do have. Because that old, slow, can't cover thing, I just think that's how they'll say it internally, even if I still think he can play.
How much does it feel like punting on last year as well in that linebacker room? I feel like, that's the one thing you can kind of hold on to in the organization if you're moving forward into this year, is that even as bad as it got at times last year in that room, valuable reps were given. It's essentially the same argument I'm trying to make with the Reds team right now, is play these young guys when they might not be all the way ready, when the team doesn't have other options, and then it can pay off in the future. If you never have that payoff, what was last year essentially for? I think it's another argument the Bengals would probably make. Again, I would sign Bobby Wagner.
But what if you start off the season and the young linebackers are still struggling?
Yeah. So, something that coaches do, and this is an exercise, because I've gone back and forth. I'm not shy to share my opinion about personnel or whatever. Livelihood on the line. Are you taking that guy? Are you banking on that guy? And if it were me, having a Bobby, I would be comfortable saying, oh, well, Bobby Wagner can't play anymore, and we banked on him, and we banked on these two young guys, and they can. I would much rather have that fail-safe option, that floor raiser, than, oh yeah, we couldn't get a little bit more out of Barrett Carter. I would regret it if that was the case, put it that way. So, and I don't know if the coaches are open to Bobby or not. He's close to their age, some of their ages, for sure. So, still playing at a high level. I think it's a really interesting conversation. Maybe we'll do a poll. I think there's a decent amount of Bengals fans that are kind of out on Bobby.
I think you're right.
Like, not a ton. I think Marisa's in the majority, for sure. But I think there are some that agree with how I think the organization approaches Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, and if that's the case, hit us up in the comments and replies. Let us know why. Is it what James was saying, that the coverage grade comes into play, or is it because you just want to continue to see the young linebackers develop? I'd be curious to see why they're voting that way.
And how much of being out on Bobby is because maybe the Bengals are out on Bobby? Think about what you want to do. Think about what you think the linebacker room needs. Just because the Bengals won't sign somebody doesn't mean it's not the right move to make.
Absolutely not the right. Yes.
I just feel like a lot of people close doors because, they aren't going to do it, so why are we talking about that player? Doesn't mean the move should be off the table.
Yeah, I've said it for 20 years. 10 years, for sure. And the comments are always, they would never.
But it's
irrelevant. It's irrelevant what they will do.
Bobby Wagner's also 60 tackles away from breaking Ray Lewis's combined tackles record.
Oh, he's definitely playing this season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's
and
playing.
Do it in stripes. And do it against the Ravens on New Year's Eve.
Ooh.
No, do it.
Do it against the Ravens way earlier in the
week 6.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Week
Sign me
6.
up.
Breaking Ray Lewis's tackle record in stripes would be
in Baltimore.
Awesome.
Derrick Henry fumbles. Bobby Wagner with a crazy hit. I can hear the Dan Horde call right now. Look at that.
Looks
Marisa
great,
has spoken. She's spoken. We'll continue the conversation next, right here on First Word. But look here, loose ball, Caitlyn Clark passes it, gets hit in the throat, and nothing called there.
Refs didn't see it, James.
Yeah.
Didn't see it.
The ball's out of her hands, and then she gets hit, full body weight landed on, and this is going to be a huge story, and it should be, because Caitlyn Clark is a star. And when I say that, I've seen WNBA, not insiders, but people that follow the WNBA much closer than I do, say, oh, well, she's not the best player in the league. I do not care. I don't care if she's the best player in the league. She's the biggest star in the league. It's not particularly close. And so when it's a very similar conversation, to pull it local, to Joe Burrow. When Joe Burrow gets hit and he gets slammed and he gets all these things, and it's been a topic, I've said two things. One, what in the world are the officials doing? Two, teammates need to step up and defend him. I feel the same way about Caitlyn Clark. And this continues to be a theme, continues to be a discussion. And, I mean, you saw it. There's no way that should be legal. And it wasn't the only time that happened. She also hurt her back later in the game when she was coming down from a three-point attempt. And so, man, this is going to be a huge topic. I would not be surprised if the WNBA acts swiftly for sure. And so when I see off-season winners lists, I always expect, just naturally, oh, well, the Bengals will be on it. Maybe they're not 1 or 2. The Bengals are going to be on the list. They'll be in the top 5, certainly, because they should be. They added some key pieces. It would make sense. Well, not according to Josh Edwards. Let's take a look at this list here, courtesy of CBS Sports, where, wait, the Bengals they didn't even have the best offseason for an Ohio team? That, according to this CBS Sports ranking, the Browns lead the way, followed by the Raiders, Jets, Rams, Titans, and we're going to break this down. Then the Chiefs, Panthers, Commanders, Texans, 49ers. Look, Jacob, when I see this, the fact that the Bengals are nowhere to be found is shocking to me, especially when you look at a lot of those teams. I'd be stunned if the Bengals weren't far better than them. But when you look at where they were last year, a 6-win team, there's a reason expectations are really high. There's a reason why they're right there with the Ravens in the mix to win the AFC North from an odds standpoint. It's because they added a lot of pieces this offseason. I don't know how you can look at that and say they didn't have a top 10 offseason for what they did this offseason.
Hey, I'm Marisa Contipelli, one of the co-hosts on First Word and a features producer here on The Crown, where I will be out and about in Cincinnati bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City. Now, I know I'm from Cleveland, but I love my Cincy sports. I've been in Cincinnati for almost a decade now, spending the last 8 seasons with the Bengals as a team reporter and senior producer. I am so excited to be a part of the team here at The Crown, and I can't wait to bring you the latest from around the city.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe. First Word rolls on a fired up Friday, and it is Friday, which means, boy, oh boy, is it time for our worst word. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm James Rapien alongside Jacob Tissot and Marisa Contipelli. I'm excited for this one.
It's my favorite segment.
Oh, worst word in general?
In general.
Yes. Well, you call out the worst word is the worst word that we heard this week. All right, the most ridiculous bleep thing that we heard. Marisa, go.
I just hate that this is the word. Like, this happened that makes this the worst word. That's the part that I hate about this segment.
But that's why this segment is necessary.
Also,
for sure.
Things like this.
Yes.
It is necessary to call out the softie. And that's what he was. And that's what he's been. Christian Pulisic gets to rest now. The comment that everyone in the country heard, the worst word of the week. Hey, Christian, take it away.
I know you were in a lot of pain, had to be subbed off. What were you dealing with, fighting through?
Yeah, I mean, I just twisted my ankle and just sprained my ankle. I mean, it's just frustrating to end like that, of course. But now I have time to rest, so hopefully it'll be okay.
I have time to rest now. He has time to rest now. That's it. That's the clip. That's the part of it. Not the ankle hurting, and obviously he had a real injury and all that. Whatever. Fine. It's part of sports. When you get eliminated from anything, I don't care if it's like the dodgeball at the gym today, at gym class today. And if you're watching during gym class, shout out to you.
Big time.
There's no way you should be like, well, I get the rest now. You should be mad that you got eliminated. And that's it. And so for me, like, when you talk about World Cup and how everybody was engaged in this and America was watching and what was the 38 million, 40 million people were watching this match. And then the star who leaves early due to injury. And I'll leave it to others to question the injury. That's not the point. The point is you left the game early. You should have been heartbroken, and instead you're like, I got time to rest now. The moment I heard that, I thought back to a Kobe Bryant interview on ABC. It was after they were eliminated by either the Spurs in 2003 or the Pistons in the finals in 2004. And he was like, I'm going to push myself to exhaustion to try to get back here. Like, one, very rarely do you do on-court interviews with the loser. And he's still in uniform and he's on the court. Two, that's all we needed to hear. was how upset and bothered and sad you were that this awesome run was coming to an end, and how heartbreaking it is and how motivating it's going to be. Like, it's a very simple line to drop. And then no one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about how you failed, sure, but you definitely aren't on worst word of the week here. We're not saying, hey, this is the worst thing we heard all week, and you're not getting the criticism and the backlash that he's gotten all week long.
Exactly. Like, this is Christian Pulisic. He's the face of U.S. soccer in this country. He's nicknamed Captain America. This was the moment and opportunity to show a little bit more leadership and to kind of take accountability for the lack of performance overall as a team. Like, I wanted in that moment to see more passion, emotion coming out of him. Like, yeah, it was really unfortunate he suffered an injury, and it was a significant injury that caused him to leave that game. No one, is shaming him whatsoever for having to leave the match because of an injury. It's just really unfortunate, just the tone of his post-game, comments like that.
Yeah. Carly Lloyd said it best on X. You rest when your playing career is over. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. It doesn't mean you don't have to heal.
Right.
And I get what he's trying to say. Probably, I got to go. I'll be able to heal. I'll be fine. Then just say that. Say how heartbroken you are.
It's the actual quote that makes it so hard to stomach. And it's not questioning the injury, and it's not questioning Pulisic as a soccer player. He's great when he's out there and healthy. I think it is questioning his ability to be the face and leader of a team. That's where this comes in. You can be the best player. The best player is not always the leader. And I feel like for a country like the U.S. that has struggled to enter the top tiers of the global soccer scene, searching for that captain over the last few years kind of forced it just to the best player. And he's one of the best players in the history of American soccer, and that certainly hasn't changed based on this World Cup run. But I do think his view as Captain America, as the face of this organization, has shifted now because of these quotes and because of how he handled this run. This wasn't his only injury in this run as well. He missed games during the group stage, left one halfway through, missed one at the end. So I think there's a lot of questions about his availability, which also goes back to the ability to lead. I mean, you have to be out there with the guys in order to be a true leader of the team. So I think there's a lot of questions about Pulisic going into the next World Cup and all the time in between until he puts on this USA jersey again.
And Carly Lloyd doubled down on her X post because people were kind of coming at her saying, oh, you owe him an apology. And she was like, I don't know anyone an apology. And she, cited how Pulisic skipped the Gold Cup last summer because he wanted to be ready for this World Cup. Well, he ended up still not really being ready for the World Cup because of the injuries and having to miss time. And so I think that's where she's looking at this too. It's bigger picture to what you were just saying, is just he hasn't really been available for the U.S.
This is what you're remembered for. Like, this is what the majority of people are going to remember. It's no different than the Olympics from a soccer standpoint. I get it. He's playing and he's still going to play. But the majority of the audience is going to remember what you do in the World Cup because we were watching. It's just like a Michael Phelps. If he is awful, well, then we're going to remember that because that's when we're really tuning in and dialed in. And it's not just us being critical of Pulisic and his comments. No, it's not. Here's Landon Donovan on the Unfiltered Soccer Podcast.
I believe I am uniquely qualified, the only person probably who's been in his shoes. The level of which he is dealing with this is much greater than the level I dealt with, because this was 2006 for me. Not many people were paying attention. It was not a home World Cup. Social media didn't exist. So this is exacerbated by a ton. I have been in his shoes. I had a horrible World Cup, completely let the team down, was getting criticized for the first time, not to the extent he is. I know the feeling. The feeling is identical. And I would just say this. It led me to therapy. It led me to take a look at my life and my career honestly for the first time. It allowed me to have massive, important conversations with people I love in my life about all things, not just soccer. And it changed my life forever in a positive way. I don't know if Christian cares about that, wants to do all that. We don't have a great relationship now. I'm sure he doesn't like me, doesn't respect me. I'm saying this to you, Christian. You probably don't listen. This is an opportunity to help and to change your life forever. One of the biggest problems, I speak to people who are at U.S. Soccer, I speak to his sponsors, I speak to his teammates, I speak to the staff and the coaches. People are fed up with the way things are handled around him. And it's not necessarily him, but it's his agents, his family, his hangers-on, the people who are influencing. People are fed up with it. They treat people poorly. They do things poorly. It's always a no. Whenever you want to ask, can we do an interview? It's always a no. You can't get near him. He doesn't say hi to the commentators who do all the games all the time when they walk by. All the other guys come over and shake hands and say hello. There's just this sense about him that like you can't get near him. It's too big. And I actually don't think it's from him. I think it's from the people around him. They need to stop. And he needs to man up and have a conversation with them and say, look, guys, this is not helping me. He needs to get some training on media. I did too. I said a lot of dumb shit. And people are like, hey, Landon, you don't want to come off this way, do you? And I still make mistakes all the time. All of these things can be a positive. I have to say though, he has a big challenge ahead. Because Tim, I'm thinking ahead to the next game. And JR, like if we happen to be at this game, the next US game in this country, what do you think that's going to look like? Like, think about that. Is he going to get booed when they announce him? Maybe. People are livid. So anyway, it's a long-winded way of saying this can be a good moment in your life. A lot of things need to change. And I actually think it's not him. I think it's the people around.
That was a lot of jump cuts. But I will say this. Landon Donovan, uniquely qualified, like he mentioned. There's one. Two, it does feel kind of entitled in that way. And that maybe people around him are like that. And that's why he thought of it that, oh, now I can rest. Versus, I can't believe this happened. I can't wait to get back on the pitch, and I can't wait to rectify this because it was embarrassing. Like that loss was embarrassing. They were dominated, and it wasn't close. And the only time you noticed Christian Pulisic is when he was turning the ball over when he got hurt. That's the only time you noticed him. That's it. So.
Yeah. It's incredibly frustrating because this was the group that was supposed to change everything for U.S. soccer, and it was a great run, and he was supposed to be the face of that. I even think during this World Cup we saw the shift in real time from Pulisic to Balian as the real face of American soccer and who most of the fans were backing in terms of the lead player of this team.
Yeah, and Balian was the first U.S. player to post on social media an apology to fans and the nation, and Pulisic only really did that after receiving some of the backlash that he had.
Yep, it's just the next element of it now. It's not everybody. We're going to be fair here on first word and certainly worst word of the week because Pulisic's taking a ton of criticism. Well, not everyone has been critical. Herculez Gomez, defended what Christian Pulisic said and the criticism he received.
Landon and Christian are the same person. They're the same player. They should really understand each other. And Landon had a situation in 2006 where he was used as one of the scapegoats for that disastrous World Cup campaign. He knows exactly what Christian Pulisic is feeling right now. So maybe instead of attacking each other or the camps, there should be some sort of coming to terms here, coming together and helping, because I think what Christian Pulisic is going through right now, he's being used as a scapegoat for this failed World Cup.
Yeah, I'm with you. You would think that there would be a little bit more sort of unity coming out of this. The guy had an injury. Like the way that he discussed this afterwards leaves a lot to be desired, talking about rest, and we're talking about that. But the guy was injured, and we don't totally know how much that hampered the way he played. He did not play well, and you would kind of think coming off of a heartbreaking, embarrassing loss that somebody who was not your peer, but sort of came before you and paved the way for you would have a little bit more togetherness in those moments.
When you face adversity, the equity you've built up or don't have comes the surface right away. Well, I think Landon is trying to help, and he gave him some advice there a few minutes ago when we played it. At the same time, I don't think Christian Pulisic has a ton of equity in the soccer community, and I think the moment he failed the way he did and said what he said, Carly Lloyd, gloves off, Landon Donovan, gloves off, everybody gloves off, and honest about how they feel.
Yeah, and it was absolutely, exacerbated more because of this being on home soil and the World Cup being in America, and just there was more eyeballs on it this time around too.
Yeah, not even just in soccer, but really anywhere. I can't remember the marquee player, the face of an organization or a team, having the legends of said team all on the same page against him after a moment like this. I think the unity of the past generations of U.S. soccer having essentially the same take about this from top to bottom is really shocking at the end of a World Cup like this, and it just leads me to believe that maybe there's a lot more going on with this story than anyone really leads on.
That is the worst word of the week. Up next, Contipelli's countdown right here on First Word.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe. Hi, my name is Natalie Jones. Just your typical 40-year-old Cincinnati girl. Although, no, I'm not married or divorced. I don't have any kids, and I don't live in the neighborhood I grew up in, which is the West Side, by the way. But what I do have is a lot of freaking time, and I've been using it well. So come along with me on this ground adventure, because I've been trying all the new around town that you need to know about. This is Nat Tries That.
And yet, I think that there are Bengals fans that will see him in a Ravens uniform and strictly say, oh, this is the washed version of Trey Hendrickson. This is the well past this prime Trey Hendrickson. This is the guy that is going to cost the Ravens. I'm not saying that, to be clear. I do have thoughts, though. But first, Jacob Tissot, your thoughts. Is Trey washed when you see these photos?
Can I say it?
You can say whatever you want.
He looks washed in the photos. I mean, this is Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Garnett. This is Tennessee Titans, Julio Jones. Ravens, DeAndre Hopkins, if you will. It's just that end of the career jersey guy that it just doesn't look right. And maybe that's partially because he was playing for the Bengals in so many big games against the Ravens. It's still not quite clicking for me that he's in Baltimore. It's going to be weird to see him suit up there week one. But
Seahawks TO.
All of these, before my time, but absolutely a Seahawks TO comp there. Celtics Shaq, Cavs Shaq, Suns Shaq. All the Shaqs. Yeah, I mean, he's in that group for me when I see these pictures. And
Magic Patrick Ewing.
Magic Patrick Ewing is a great shout. Yeah, that's a big one for sure. But I think Trey is getting there, and maybe that can obviously be quelled with any kind of significant production this year, which I think he certainly still has some juice off the edge. We'll get into some stat predictions later. But when I saw those pictures, it really shocked me how washed I thought he looked going into next year. My name's Jacob Tissot, and I'm a co-host of First Word from 7 to 11 every morning right here on the Crown Network, where we will break down the biggest stories in Cincinnati sports. I'm a graduate of the University of Alabama, where I spent 4 seasons working for the football team as a student assistant, contributing to the 2020 National Championship and 3 SEC championships. I'm a Cincinnati native, a St. Xavier High School graduate, and will bring a local perspective and passion to covering the Bengals, Reds, and everything in between. I'm excited to have you join us on First Word.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe. At least we get to rest now. No, we don't. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Jacob Tissot. Stay awake. Don't blink. Don't rest now. Be excited. Woo! There we go. It's time for Contipelli's Countdown right here on First Word.
The don't blink absolutely just got me there. Well, now that the U.S. has been eliminated from the World Cup, I have been fully invested in Norway. Give me all of the Viking rows. And coming across this on social media might be one of the best things I think I have seen as of late. But Erling Holland, one of the stars for this Norway team, has been quite the face of this World Cup. Well, all you have to do is Google his name and you are treated to some cute little Vikings rowing across your screen.
Is there anyone who's capitalized on this World Cup more than Holland? I feel like his, not just play has been great, but his stardom has grown to a level that I think is rivaling the Mbappes and the Messis of this tournament. He's right up there with the goal scorer numbers, and I certainly see more of him on social media than almost anyone else from a non-soccer aspect. So he's a lot of fun and a lot of fun to root for.
Can we pull his picture up again? Just, have you seen him and Brock Lesnar in the same room? I just want to know if you've seen him in the same room, because to me, That's Brock Lesnar.
I wonder if he has the same dagger tattoo.
Probably not, but no, he's.
You can't be sure.
He definitely gives me Lesnar vibes, and that's the ultimate compliment because the last thing you want to do is go up against a guy in any kind of sport that looks like Brock Lesnar. That's not what you want to do.
He plays soccer like a heavyweight champion. I don't think there's anything scarier. I saw someone had a camera on the field, and he was running straight at the camera. It was terrifying. And he looks like he could play in the NFL. He's an absolute freak of nature. Love watching Holland.
Yeah, he is just insanely talented. He does look like an NFL linebacker coming at you, but he is square in. I think maybe a linebacker? Tight end?
Oh, no, I'm not questioning the position. It was more of he's a linebacker?
Bring him in.
Linebacker?
Bring him in.
Sign Erling. Sign Erling.
5'2", runs a 4.3 40.
All right. Kobe Young who? He's a receiver. 210, he's a receiver.
Look up.
Yeah, he can play two-way player. We can have a two-way player. He is square in the Golden Boot race, though, has 7 goals this World Cup, so likely to continue to rise the ranks if Norway continues in this tournament. And we will see him play over the weekend. And if you've ever wondered why the back of his jersey doesn't just say Holland on it, but it says Brought Holland, well, check this out. He was asked this earlier this World Cup tour, just why he has that on the back of his jersey. Well, the reason is pretty sweet. He is paying tribute and homage to both of his parents. His father, last name Holland, but his mother is where the Brought comes from. She was a world-class champion heptathlon athlete back in her day in the 90s. Erling's father, of course, played in the Premier League as a defender, so I thought this was really cool that, he is honoring both of his parents in this way.
Yeah, this is awesome. I certainly was wondering why, and then it's a great answer. I think it's super cool whenever anyone does this. Seeing a little bit more in sports now, adding those hyphenated names or anything else along those lines to show how much both of the parents, and I think it's really, really cool. So great to see it on the international stage as well.
Yeah, I love it. I thought the 2 words, I literally thought Brock Lesnar. That's what I was doing. That's what I was thinking. So I'm glad to know the real part of it. Could he add like 10 pounds and beat Kyle Hamilton?
Probably.
And now you have him play safety? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk Bengals safeties coming up. Like,
I'm in really wherever he wants to play.
Well, that's my point is, hey, Zach, just sign him, and then we'll figure it out.
Pro Shop's got to deal with a lot of character if it's Brought Holland on the back of the jersey.
I love it.
That's sick.
Well, if he ever decides to move on from soccer, maybe flag football could be a route for him because professional teams will be coming to the U.S. here, likely to debut in 2027. The NFL investing a lot in flag football. Of course, flag football will be an Olympic sport in 2028, and they announced that this likely rendering of one of the arenas, stadium that will be used for flag football. Adam Schefter posted this on X, and you just take a look at some of the numbers here too. It's supposed to be a portable stadium, which I have a lot of questions about, but the first year it will just stay in one location. But this just goes to show the NFL is investing over $160 million in flag football.
Ooh, here we go. I can't wait to play on that field. It's exciting to see. I love flag football. I think it gets more people involved in football in general. Obviously, it's a different sport than football itself. It's played much, much differently. The strategy's different, all of those things. But more people get to play football, and it gives a lot of kids especially, because if you're making a big deal as an adult, guess what? Kids are going to play it, and they're going to be in on it. And so I do think that it's going to help transform football in general and the interest level in it.
I absolutely love it, and I think the biggest thing as we see flag football continue to grow, that's a huge success for me, is how much the NFL is backing it and supporting it. We're seeing these leagues pop up for kids, men and women around the country, supported by the NFL, building these stadiums by the NFL. And I think, you mentioned it's a different game. There's no pathway for these flag football players to eventually play in the NFL, really. That's not necessarily feasible. So it's great to see that the league isn't viewing this as something else or a competitor, but using this as an opportunity to grow the game and get more people involved in football. And I love it. And as more money the NFL pours into flag football, the more likely it is NFL players can play in the Olympics for flag football. So rooting for that as well.
Yeah, and there's a whole topic there on which Bengals most likely, because anyways, I'm not going to drop that tick right now. I want to talk about first word. We need a first word flag football team.
Okay.
Ooh,
That's what we need.
going.
I'm just saying. I think Rodney's sneaky fast.
I got center. I'll ID the mic.
I think Doug's got offensive line covered.
You 5 them.
You're tight end, brother.
Yeah.
Playing 11 on 11.
You're tight end. I don't know if Melman over there can run, so.
We know he can't catch.
No chance can Paul Fritz. He drops scoops. All right, he has the scoop, and he drops passes too.
Well, we will certainly get into the first word all-flag football team and the Bengals all-flag football team eventually here on first word, but would Chad would be on that list for sure, right? Well, you could also purchase a retro throwback 2001 Chad Johnson jersey. James, how soon is this getting into the classic
Probably
Rapien
now.
household?
It's such a hard jersey to find in general. And it's so tough because Chad only played in this jersey 01, no one knew who he was. 02 had over 1,000 yards, they stunk. 03, Marvin's first year, had over 1,000 yards. They were a bit better, and then they switched to new uniforms in the first year of the Carson starting era. Carson was drafted in 03 and wore these for 1 year. I love them, and I love that they brought these back because now it's a quality one that Bengals fans can get. This is insane. I don't necessarily need the Leaping Tiger back in my life like everybody else, but paying homage to the guy that I watched when I was 10 and is the Jamar to everyone now that's watching that's in elementary school. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, you were all in the money there until you dropped potentially the worst take you've had on the show yet. There's nothing I want in my life more than the Leaping Tiger, and to see it on merch more now is great to see. I will probably be getting this jersey as well, so we can be twinning.
So they need to go back to these jerseys full time?
As an alternate, as a throwback alternate, it would be great, but I need it on the field.
Fine.
Just to incorporate the Leaping Tiger more
The
in
more and
branding.
more I see it, the
Yes.
more feasible it replaces that B in the middle of the field.
I'm fine with getting rid of the B. It was not a field logo discussion.
Okay.
It's a uniform discussion. I don't need them to go back to the 97 to 03 uniforms where they never had a winning season during that stretch. You weren't
Those would
around.
be fun throwback alternates, though.
They would be fine. If you want to put Joe in it once a year, fine.
If Joe wears it once a year, I can buy it. That's what I really want.
Do we think Joe has this jersey? Maybe?
He should.
Should?
He should.
What about LeBron? Do we think LeBron has this Chad jersey or a Chad jersey?
He should, because Chad would have been easily the best receiver that LeBron watched when he was growing up in Akron.
Okay.
Do we think LeBron knows who Chad is? Do we think LeBron has Chad's number? Because I have a bonus countdown number 2 topic for you. Of course LeBron's getting mentioned at countdown.
I know they've met.
Yeah, well, everyone's on LeBron watch, including Chad. And Chad, humorous and all, gotta love him, posted this on X. Hey, I texted LeBron to ask where he's going, but my message shows up green. What does that mean? I really doubt LeBron is an Android user. I'm just going to come out and say
That's
it.
where I was going. That would be the worst thing to happen to the GOAT debate in many, many years if LeBron was an Android user. So I think he might have you blocked.
Looks like an Android user to me.
Or
I'm just
maybe
gonna
a
throw
wrong
it out
number.
there.
I'm going to hope that
Look,
may
LeBron
be the case.
tries to be different and edgy, and he's reading a new book all the time, and he's on page 3.
He's a Google Pixel guy.
Yeah, I bet he is. I bet he is.
Probably is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta answer Chad, though, right?
Hey.
It's Chad.
Let
You
him
know
know where
what?
you're going.
You go
Call
to Golden
Chad.
State, LeBron, you could get any food you want in Silicon Valley.
What?
Let's go. Let's go.
You know, with that, we're just going to roll right into number 1 on Countdown for the weekend. I always really enjoy when these type of different fun game scenarios are thrown across on social media, especially we're in the summertime. And, you're looking to have that little creative bit of fun on social. So I saw this and I was like, let's see what the first word crew, if we had NFL roles based on your birthday. So, taking a look at this list, I would be the offensive coordinator for the Bears, making $34 million a year, getting to work with Caleb Williams. Sign me up. He's the big guy.
Dang.
She's taking a big pay
Bengals got to speed up this DJ Turner extension because I'm getting paid $50 million to play corner for the Titans this year.
$50 million to play.
50 mil lockdown corner.
Whew.
Oh my gosh. $2.5 million to be part of the hydration crew.
Yeah, you bum.
This was a setup.
That was
This
perfect.
was a
Oh
setup.
my God! I honestly did not realize that. Wait, what team are you with?
I didn't even think about the teams. Is it the Bills? I'm the Bills.
You're the Bills hydration coordinator.
Hey, Josh Allen. Here's some electrolytes.
Ooh. All right. Well, sorry, James. Jacob, congrats on the pay raise. We have a lot to get to here on First Word, including more Bengals talk on the way. What's the word is coming up next.
So, over, under 3,000 yards receiving for both Jamar and T combined this season. Oh, come on.
I can't. How
Come
am I?
on.
You guys.
You? What do you mean, you guys?
3,000 yards. The most that they've ever combined in their careers
2024.
together, exactly, was just over 2,600. So you're telling me, where are these other 400 yards coming from? When you have an offense that needs to feed Mike Gesicki, you need to feed. You're not going to feed Mike Gesicki?
Not if I can feed T and Jamar. But
Okay.
needs is
T-
relative. Needs, not Mike. Don't make it about Mike. The word needs is what stood out.
Well, you
to
need
me.
to feed Chase Brown. That I will stand by that one.
That's fair.
But
He's a
no,
running
you
back.
have so many offensive, options on this team. T and Jamar are going to be double teamed at times too. So there's that factor in it as
No
well.
doubt.
However, this is also a team we're expecting to be good, to be better this season, to be playing ahead with leads. They're going to be running the ball a lot more later in games. At least I'm expecting them to. I'm hoping they are, because if they're down and they're throwing, then there are other problems at hand. I realistically don't see them getting over that 3,000 mark. I could see them getting between 2,700, 2,800, but not over 3.
So you think they're going to get really close? And
I
just not
think
get
they'll be close. I just don't think they'll get over.
The city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapien, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crowd Network.
Hello, my name is Natalie Jones, and welcome to the Nat Jones Show. After retiring from my 10-year radio career here in Cincinnati, I caught the bug, and I'm happy to bring it here to the Crown. I love captivating people who have captivating stories to tell. And the thing about it is, everybody has a story to tell. All you got to do is empower them to do so. That is exactly what I'm doing here. Because life is better when we all stay curious and we all stay connected.
Cincinnati means business. And what does that mean for you and your community? The Working Lunch, every weekday at noon, takes you behind the local business scene with local headlines, interviews with owners and local leaders. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you these stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Jacob Tissot over here rocking. Go ahead, lean with it.
I don't know.
Rock with it.
Adam got these chairs.
Rock the baby.
Now I'm rocking.
James Rapien, Marisa Contipelli, and Rocking the baby Jacob Tissot
You can
with
call
you
me
till
Rocky.
11.
No.
You wish.
We're not gonna call you that.
You wish, Trisket, that I'd call you Rocky. Let's dive into today's What's the Word poll question, Rocky. No chance could you get by with Rocky. Gotta be tougher than that.
It almost worked.
No, you did try. You
Almost.
did try. Not happening. Here's our poll question today. Dexter Lawrence ranked 7th in ESPN's defensive tackle rankings. We're going to dive into this in depth coming up. Is his drop from first last year a fair assessment?
I certainly don't think so, and I love that the majority of our audience agrees. I don't think it makes any sense to have him as low as 7th on that list. I understand the drop from the number 1 overall spot. The counting numbers fell quite a bit last year. Only half a sack, a career low for Dexter Lawrence, but he's still one of the best players in the league. We've ran through the numbers on this show about how effective he is, even if he's not getting those sack numbers that he's had before. So I think those numbers will be back this year in this Bengals defense with a new fire lit and a chip on his shoulder. But I think dropping him from 1 to 7 is absurd.
I'm completely with you and the majority of viewers who voted in the poll. I think he still should have been in the top 3, and I'm excited for us to dive into it more coming up at the top of the hour, because reading the reasonings and the rankings and everything, it's, well, he fell 6 spots, but the drop in his play isn't that steep. So
That's my favorite quote.
Why did he drop 6 spots, ESPN?
46.6% of you say he should be in the top 3, including our production room. 26.3% good, but play dipped. It's a fair assessment. I think that's the one that's interesting to me, that stands out the most to me. All right, well, it's a fair assessment. His play dipped. All right, fine, but he went from 1 to 7. It's a big gap. And I think there is something to be said. If he really is the 7th best defensive tackle, did the Bengals get their money's worth? They gave up a lot to get Dexter Lawrence. I'm looking. We have 1 more hour in the week. And I'm not calling him Rocky, but we are going to talk Dexter Lawrence. We're going to hear from Dan Horde, and he made an under-the-radar sneaky comment, Dan Horde did yesterday, about a position on defense that may just be a training camp battle. We will get to that and so much more. It is a Feed Up Friday edition of First Word right here on The Crown.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch, Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. First Word for your morning sports, Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, the working lunch for business that hits home, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Speculation with free agency starting today that LeBron could team up with Steph Curry in Golden State and make me a very, very happy as a Steph Curry fan. Very, very excited. Meanwhile, Marisa Contipelli is about to walk off the set just with the idea and the thought of LeBron going to Golden State.
You know, oftentimes you can be dramatic and exaggerate things. You're not right now. This would literally be my nightmare as a Cavalier fan. I think I might boycott the NBA if LeBron somehow ends up in Golden State.
Oh my God, you can't boycott them. We're going to talk NBA here, Marissa. You can't boycott
Not if LeBron's in Golden State. I can't
She
do
just
it.
ignores the NBA
As a whole. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, they'd probably play all 82 games on national television, so it would be hard to avoid them throughout the season. Yeah, all I care about as we roll into NBA free agency is number 5. It's getting LeBron that 5th ring. And
Curry number 5.
Best chance to do it for both of them is to play together. Yep. So I would love to see him run for it. I would love to go chase number 5, and it's a pretty dangerous proposition to have James and I on the same side during NBA season this year.
Where's the broom?
Do we switch spots for NBA?
I think so. No, but I am all in on the Steph, Draymond, 80 LeBron Warriors.
My name is James Rapien, and I host First Word every weekday morning, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. Prior to joining The Crown Network, I covered the Bengals for Sports Illustrated for 6 seasons. I also am the founder of Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube and wrote the book, Enter the Jungle, A History of the Cincinnati Bengals. Couldn't be more excited to join you every weekday morning for First Word right here on The Crown.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Fired Up Friday. That's what it is. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien. I just threw an eraser. He's Jacob Tissot, Marisa Contipelli. How you doing?
Great.
You excited?
Yeah, it's a Fired Up Friday.
Big hour here coming. Is there another eraser? Dang, I should throw another one.
Off the rails
I'm not going
implies
to.
the existence of rails.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, James does not have
They're
rails.
gone.
Paul, catch.
Oh, jeez.
What are we doing?
He was ready. Paul
No
was ready.
chance would he catch it.
No.
None.
It's a small marker.
Paul
There's a-
Fritchner
Paul,
breaks
I'm on your side here.
college
There's a
hoops
percentage.
news. He can't catch, though.
He drops scoops and sports balls.
That's it. That's all. It's all right. Drops passes.
I played softball with Paul.
Drops-
He only dropped one in the outfield.
How many games have you played?
Two.
Ah.
2 games.
I think she's exaggerating by a game.
2 games.
Oh, okay. He was DH the other game. Just to put that out there
He
for
was
Paul.
not. He played right.
I'm sorry, Paul. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to tell everyone your secret. Can't catch. So you see him, you see the rebound rundown anywhere? Like, hey, that's the guy who can't catch. All right, let's dive in to Dexter Lawrence. Let's dive into Dexter Lawrence. And speaking of can't rank, ESPN's rankings have come out all week, and it is ranking season. And NFL executives, coaches, scouts, all chiming in on the top players at their respective positions. And I'll start here. I love this from Jeremy Fowler. I love this from ESPN every single year. It is shocking to see Dexter Lawrence 7th on this list, at least for me. And part of it is just where he was last year. First. So let's just say Jamar Chase is first in this ranking, and wide receivers aren't out yet. We'll see where he ends up being. But let's just say Jamar is first. Not many scenarios where he should be 7th next year at 27 years old, and that's what he will be at the time. Dexter Lawrence is 28 years old. Obviously, the Bengals thought highly enough of him to trade him for the 10th overall pick, or trade the 10th pick for him. But Dexter coming in 7th overall, how surprised are you guys?
I was shocked. I thought he would fall a little bit. I didn't expect him to be number 1, switching from New York to the Bengals, obviously getting traded, and then the drop in production last year, I think, led to some kind of fall here. It never even entered my mind he'd be outside of the top 5. I think a lot of us would argue, and I think it's a very valid argument, that he belongs in the top 3. I think there's somewhat of a line of demarcation after 3 interior D linemen in this league in terms of the body of work for a lot of these guys, and then the rest of the top 5, and then a good group after that. But I think he's certainly in the top 5. I can't understand having him 6th or 7th. Falling 6 spots in a top 10 is really hard to do, and to not do it based on play, essentially, because half a sack, sure, he was great last year. He was a top 10 defensive lineman on PFF's overall rankings for the positional grades. So for him to fall after continuing to do what he's essentially done in his career really shocks me.
Same. I'm still trying to make sense of how he went from 1 to 7, and reading the reasoning that ESPN says he fell 6 spots, but the drop in his play wasn't that steep. Oh, okay, so you're telling me he dropped 6 spots because he's now Cincinnati Bengal, which I would make the case that the Bengals are an upgrade from the Giants. Okay, the voting between the 3rd and 7th spots were close. Okay, then why isn't Dexter getting, that same, respect that we saw the cornerback rankings, the running back rankings get with these players? Maybe their stat numbers dropped a little bit, but they're still highly respected and staying highly ranked in these rankings. I don't understand what happened here. And also, having the lowest ranking on this list, people had Dexter unranked. I would love to have conversations with whoever was leaving Dexter off of the top 10 in general.
Well, that's one of the things that really jumps out to me about this list as a whole. Leonard Williams, number 1 D tackle on this list, highest ranking 1, lowest ranking 8. Jeffrey Simmons, highest ranking 1, lowest ranking 8. Jalen Carter, 2, 9. Dexter Lawrence all the way up there, potentially in the top 3, and then unranked. Same for Quinnen Williams and Derek Brown, whose highest ranking was 1st and unranked. Why is there zero consistency through these rankings? I can't understand that really at all. Any other position group where a player is receiving 1st overall votes, they're going to be in everyone's top 10. That is an insane gap to have disagreements on for experts voting on this type of thing. So I think there's something to get to the bottom of here with the defensive line group that's causing some confusion here in the voting pool.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see how quickly the reputation can change. And I do wonder, because there are a lot of Bengals fans out there that are like, oh, it's the Bengal tax, and you've referenced this a couple times when we've talked about it. If the Rams make this move, is he higher?
Yeah.
Probably.
There's no question in my mind.
Is he 4th? 5th?
I would assume he's 5th.
5th?
I would assume he's number 5.
Okay.
And you push
Right
Derek
behind
Brown
Chris
and Quinnen
Jones.
down.
Yeah.
Even though I think Derek Brown's awesome, but
wow, interesting. You push Quinnen down.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, you could also make the case that he should be higher, too.
I would make the case that he should be higher, but I think with the rankings right now, the most feasible spot for him to slide in there is 5, and then you have Derek Brown 6 and Quinnen 7.
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. One, Leonard Williams, awesome. This is an overreaction to the Super Bowl. Really good player, 32. Talk about a guy, he was 6th last year. Perfect fit, had a great season. He's not the best defensive tackle in football. I don't think the Bengals would trade Dexter Lawrence for Leonard Williams right now.
I don't think anyone would. I don't think it's a Bengals thing. I just don't think anyone would.
But that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So sometimes these votes and who's voting and all those things, that's it. So, by the way, awesome season. Had a better season than Dexter Lawrence.
Absolutely.
Completely different situations. I do think Jeffrey Simmons is better than Dexter in a lot of ways. He's not a true nose tackle, but he's an awesome, disrupting, just nightmare to deal with. And so I'm not going to question him. He's 2nd on this list. And then you go down Jalen Carter. Do I trust him and his personality and all of those things? I think there's a lot to it. But is he a baller? Absolutely. He's awesome. Chris Jones, we know about those problems. He's a problem still. Probably not what he once was, but still a problem. Dexter Lawrence, for me, can vault himself ahead of most of these guys. And that includes the guy who's number 1 on this list. If Dexter Lawrence does what he needs to do this season, and what I think a lot of people in the building, maybe everybody in the building, think he can do, he'll jump back up. But this is unfair, I think, for a couple of reasons. One of which, it's pretty simple. He's playing for the Giants. The Giants were awful. The Giants had to fire their head coach. A lot of stuff went on. And they wanted to keep him. They didn't give Dexter Lawrence away. I think that's the element here. Dexter Lawrence was unhappy. He wanted a new contract. He was really unhappy with things and made that known. And even with that, they bring in a new head coach. And they were listening to offers, but they didn't pull the trigger until they got an offer that they could not refuse in the 10th overall pick. Why were the Bengals willing to do something they've never done in franchise history? It's because when they watched the film of Dexter Lawrence from last season, they're not watching from 2022. Obviously they did, I'm sure. But they're not basing it just on his reputation. They're looking at 2025 like, is this the same guy we had to prepare for in 2024? When we lost a ton of sleep having to deal with Dexter. And when they watched that film, they came to the conclusion that, yes, still that guy, still the dominant guy. Joe Burrow called him the best defensive tackle in the league. Greg Cosell, we heard from him a few weeks ago on the show, and guess what he said? He said, at his best, he's top 3. And so that's what the Bengals are saying. Top 3 defensive tackle would be stunned. I'm a little surprised that he's this low, but I would be stunned if he's this low a year from now. I think he's going to be top 3, probably higher. Leonard Williams is going to drop out of the top 5.
And you know what? If the NFL world wants to, undersell Dexter Lawrence, that he's not that same player, fine. Maybe he'll get double teamed less. He had a league high 71% double team rate, last year. That doesn't go for another. Of course, your stats are going to drop a little bit when you're literally double teamed almost the entire time you're on the field.
That's the point.
Right.
Like, how are these on? Actually, now when you put it like that, what idiots?
Right.
Why are you doubling him 71% of the time if he's not the first or second or third bet? Like, he's got such a, and maybe, he's so big. Sure, but clearly he's that talented too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even going back over the last 5 years, 53% double rate amongst, leads all players, highest percentage in the NFL. It's just, it blows my mind that he is just not giving the respect that he has absolutely shown and proved. And yeah, maybe that does add a little bit extra fuel to the fire to Dexter, has that chip on his shoulder. Well, the rest of the NFL world, watch out.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's a mystery of where that production went. I mean, in 2024, he had 9 sacks. In 2025, he had half a sack. Well, last year, he was 5th in pass rush grade and 14% in pass rush win rate. In 2024, he was 8th in pass rush grade, 13th in pass rush win rate. He got better rushing the passer last year. Sure, the sacks weren't quite there in terms of the numbers perspective, but when you look at the rest of the Giants roster, the 70% double team rate, higher than 70% double team rate, help those guys get to the quarterback. Abdul Carter finished his rookie year with 4 sacks, 20.5 for their top 2 edge rushers. Brian Burns, 16.5, a career high last year for Spider-Man in that Giants defense. And I think that is all just Dexter Lawrence. I mean, obviously, Brian Burns is a great player as well. He had all-pro conversations around him last season, and those numbers are only attainable because of the force in the middle. And I think that's what the Bengals are seeing as well. Sure, they believe in Dexter. Sure, they think he can get back to that all-pro form he was in New York. You don't trade the 10th overall pick unless you do. But I also think the reason why you're so okay trading that 10th overall pick is because it's not an edge rusher who's playing one-on-one with a tackle trying to get to the quarterback. It's not one of these other positions where if a player is great in that position, the bat player is great, but that's it. If Dexter Lawrence is great in the interior of this defensive line, the other 10 players on the defense get better as well, which is such a huge thing for a defense that essentially needed to improve all 11 positions.
If Dexter Lawrence is getting double teamed at 71% of the time, how many sacks is Boye Mafe going to have? You think about it that way. Brian Burns had 16. How many is Mafe going to go off for?
B.J. Hill and Jonathan Allen were both in the top 5 most double teamed defensive tackles last year. Now they're all 3 on the same defensive line.
Can't double them all.
That's what's interesting to me is like, all right, are you going to double? Because I would double Dexter 75% of the time. I'd say someone else beat me. I really would, with this Bengals defensive front, because it isn't the Giants defensive front. And I think that's what's interesting is the fact that with Thibodeau, Burns, Carter, just dudes, opponents were like, all right, well, we got to make sure that 97 doesn't beat us. Like, Burns is a pro. Like, I would love to have Brian Burns on the Bengals. Like, he's awesome. And so you have him, you have Carter as a top 5 pick, and Thibodeau as a top 5 pick, and say what you want, he's still a monster to deal with. Yeah, like, Dexter's that dude. That's why the Bengals traded the 10th pick for him. They've had to deal with preparing for him. They're like, we need a guy like that. And that's why the vibes are as high as they are, because of this move that, as controversial as it was nationally, and I do think it was, and I get why, I think here locally we understand what he could mean if he's a dominant defensive tackle in the middle.
Where does Dexter have to rank on this list next year for this trade to be a no-doubt success?
Top 4.
I think that's completely fair.
Top 4. Like, he needs to vault that. Like, if he's 7th again next year, even if we think the ranking is dumb,
doesn't matter.
Then he wasn't as effective as he needed to be.
But if people it seems like they're going to overlook maybe some of those double team numbers and the impact he makes and how it affects the rest of the line. I mean, I could see a scenario where that comes into play again, where maybe he doesn't reach 8 or 9 sacks. Maybe he only has 3 or 4, but the edge rushers absolutely explode because of the openings that he and like what he demands.
And I think if he has 3 or 4.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think the big difference is here, that impact on the double teams and stuff, I think will create wins. wasn't the case in New York, and I think that's why a lot of that gets overlooked. Here, Dexter Lawrence in this defense will flip the Bengals defense from 32nd to potentially top 10. And I think that conversation nationwide will be pretty prevalent. Ooh. I think he could. I think that's why you make a trade like this, is because that ceiling is feasible to talk about in the offseason. And I think once he does that, and he's the face of the revamped, turned around Bengals defense that got Joe Burrow and one of the most exciting offenses in the league back to contention, I think he will be talked about as a headliner, even if those sacks and stuff aren't all the way there, because he's the face and the name of this defense, not a team that's picking in the top 5 of the draft in New York.
Yeah, I agree with that. If they're good, and he's a big reason why they're good, he'll get that recognition. I agree, because the eyes are going to be on this team. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, they have the star power. Dexter Lawrence, certainly a part of that. Brian Cook, future star, potential position battle. Training camp less than 3 weeks away. We will dive into that coming up next right here on First Word.
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
They wouldn't be one of the first 10 teams I listed to win this year's Super Bowl, and they have not been anywhere close in the last 3 seasons that have been played. It is surprising to me how much staying power that one win against the Chiefs has had.
All right. Worst word. And here's why it's the worst word. 1, put your fandom away. Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs fandom is nonsense. 2, this idea, Jets, Raiders, Titans, Cardinals, Giants, Falcons, Colts, Saints. If Drew Brees was playing in his prime for the Saints right now, guess what? Then you could compare the Bengals to the Saints. You're comparing all these teams that are hoping, praying, and may all be in on Brendan, so to speak, right? Outside of maybe the Raiders with Mendoza or whoever they had. But my point is none of them have a franchise quarterback. The Bengals not only have a franchise quarterback, they have a guy that Nick Wright apparently likes. No chance do you actually like Joe Burrow, because if you like Joe Burrow, you'd be aware that going head-to-head against your guy Mahomes, he's won more than he's lost. And that's it, is Joe Burrow going up against Josh Allen, Mahomes, insert whoever else you want. He's either won or going to have a really good chance of winning regardless of the defense, which you praised. And I think that's it. Why are all these shows talking about Joe Burrow? Because he is one of the best on the planet. Have they had some down years? Absolutely. But you can't deny that. You can't deny that Joe Burrow is in that conversation with all these other guys. And so, like today, who are you taking? Patrick Mahomes coming off of a torn ACL? Did you watch Mahomes last year? Joe Burrow, when he was out there, was better than Mahomes was last year. I know Burrow has the health issue. Fine. So you could say, yeah, the Bengals are really good, but Joe needs to stay healthy. Well, everybody knows that. This argument that they're one of 3 teams and then comparing them to the Falcons and all of these other, quite frankly, losers that can't figure out quarterback is unfair, because the Bengals have Joe Burrow and they don't, and sometimes it is that simple. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. And let's dive into a position battle. I think this is real. And it's something I've mentioned to you two, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back because we don't know if it's real yet, but I think it might be real.
I said, no way, James.
You did.
That's crazy. And then I think like 2 weeks have passed, and there's some nuggets. Seems like it might be
Just
real.
a little bit of something.
Dan kind of caught me off guard yesterday when I asked him about Jordan Battle and the impact Brian Cook could have on him.
Yeah, really interesting. And Dan Hoard, the voice of the Bengals, joined us yesterday in studio. This entire interview is on our YouTube channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. First Word Cincy. Just search First Word, Marisa Contipelli, First Word, James, whatever you want to do. You'll be able to find us on YouTube. But this is interesting. When asked about safety and asked about Brian Cook and Jordan Battle, obviously those two are going to start, right? Right? Dan wasn't even asked about who's starting, but just listen to what he says about an under-the-radar piece in that safety room.
Prior to free agency, when we all talked about who should the Bengals sign, who would we like them to sign, Brian Cook was at the top of my list, partly because I know him and I like him and I saw him play at UC. But I also thought that Geno Stone was the biggest weakness in the lineup on defense last year. I'm not alone in thinking that. And the Brian Cook upgrade from Geno Stone is dramatic. Brian is great at everything that Geno is bad at. He's a great tackler. He's great at getting to the football, closing space in the secondary. I think Brian Cook is going to make a huge difference. It's a 3-year deal. He's thrilled to be home playing in front of friends and family. So that one to me is almost as big of an upgrade as Dexter Lawrence is.
Something we've talked quite a bit about is just how Brian Cook is going to benefit Jordan Battle and his continued development. How do you see, maybe Battle taking that next step playing alongside of Brian Cook?
Brian Cook and Kyle Duggar, because I think Kyle Duggar is kind of the person that's flying under the radar of these players that they've signed. Kyle Duggar, 2 years ago, got a huge contract from the Patriots. Then they changed coaches. He wasn't as good a fit under Mike Vrabel, and he winds up going to Pittsburgh and then Cincinnati. So I think Brian Cook and Kyle Duggar are both going to help Jordan Battle. Jordan played pretty well in the second half of the season last year. The Bengals have always liked his attitude, his X's and O's knowledge and his commitment to that kind of stuff. So I would expect Jordan to play a lot better now that he's got two safeties of that caliber lining up with him.
Ooh, that entire interview is on YouTube. Make sure you check it out. I know a lot of you already have. Did you hear what he said?
He was quick to mention Kyle Duggar after I asked the question.
Marisa asked about Jordan Battle and how Brian Cook is going to help Jordan Battle. And he's made it a point to mention Kyle Duggar. Now, I'm not trying to make something out of nothing, but I do think that Kyle Duggar signing did a few things. One, it alleviated the pressure of them needing to draft a safety, right? Which we were talking a ton about as early as the 10th pick, and 2 weeks later they trade for Dexter Lawrence. So I think that's interesting. Two, I do wonder, you have Brian Cook in there, how entrenched Jordan Battle is in that starting job, as productive as he was. And I think that this is a sneak. I still think that Jordan Battle has the edge and should start and all those things if he handles his business. But if a month from now, Kyle Duggar's performing well in training camp and Jordan Battle isn't ready to go, contract year, firing on all cylinders, I think this could be a camp competition that goes toward Duggar, given what Dan said there, mentioning Duggar and just how under the radar he's been.
How does this differ from the conversation around the linebackers, except for there's just no Kyle Duggar in the linebacking room? I think Jordan Battle certainly has a leg up in starting at safety right now. I would imagine the training camp battle at start, at least for the lineup, would be Jordan Battle and Brian Cook in the safety room, because I think that's probably the highest ceiling safety duo you can have. Jordan Battle certainly had his struggles, especially with tackling some aspects of his game there over the first few years of his career, but he's made those big plays. He's forced the turnovers. He's had those splash moments that allow you to kind of believe in that ceiling and that it could come together with better pieces around him. And Brian Cook's improvement from Geno Stone certainly helps me buy into that a little bit as well. But since Kyle Duggar is here, he's going to play. And whether that's in the box or in the nickel or at deep safety, he's going to be on the field a significant amount this season. And I think as long as he's at practice and as long as he's performing, there is always a chance to seize that role. Now, maybe the gap's a lot closer than I thought beforehand because we keep hearing nuggets like this drop throughout the offseason, and it's hard to ignore them. But I don't think this is any different than the two young linebackers for Jordan Battle in terms of if a Bobby Wagner was here, there's an opportunity to win that job because you just haven't been good enough so far.
Yeah, it's a great point to bring up, and I still think Brian Cook is going to have a massive impact on Jordan Battle. He's going to be the best safety that Battle's played next to since he's been in Cincinnati, so it's hard for me to buy that Kyle Duggar will be the starting safety for the Bengals, so I'm going to have to sell this one. Do I think Duggar is going to have an impact in that room and have playing time? Yes, absolutely. We're going to see him on the field in some capacity. I think Battle will end up starting over Duggar because you also look at Duggar, and I know Dan talked about how it just wasn't really a good fit with Vrabel, and he had those struggles over there in New England, but PFF grade wise, so yeah, he's coming off a season where he only posted a 53, but 2024, Duggar's PFF grade was a 44, 2023 a 61, and 2022, which is probably his best year statistical wise, he had a 78. So if he can get production like he had in that 2022 year, that would be fantastic, phenomenal. He had a 69 completion percentage, against that season, but we're coming up on 4 seasons removed from 2022. So is he truly kind of on the decline of his career?
I think he certainly could be, right? Like a minimum guy versus where he was a few years ago. I just think it's pretty darn noteworthy how Dan mentioned him. When I mentioned it to you guys a few weeks ago, it's kind of a vibes. Like, this possibility, not in the know. Like when Von Bell signed, I knew Jordan was going to have to beat out Von for that starting job, and he didn't, and they both stunk it up, to be honest. And that delayed Jordan's development and everything that went with it, and Lou was sent packing, and Von's coaching at Colorado last I checked. So, things changed quickly. With this, it would have to take a Jordan Battle struggling on the field, him being bad at practice, him not doing his side of it. If he doesn't handle his business, if he is inconsistent, and Kyle Duggar is consistent, even if that ceiling isn't as high, maybe they go with the consistent guy that doesn't have as high of a ceiling. And I think that's part of it. If you're Jordan, because I know the Von Bell thing messed with him, even if he wouldn't admit it, make sure that you're handling your business. And if you do that, I think Marisa's probably right. I also think a part of me, would it shock me if Kyle Duggar's starting week 6, week 8? Not due to injury, just because he's been this steady presence alongside Brian Cook? It wouldn't, because what you want is reliability. And if they have reliability on the front end, in that defensive front, and reliability on the back end, then it's going to take a lot of pressure off those young linebackers that they're clearly all in on, whether they love it or not. And so I sell the idea that it's going to happen day 2 of camp. I may buy it by the end of camp, if that makes sense. I definitely think this is more fluid than a lot of these other position groups where, we know B.J. Hill's going to play a ton alongside Jonathan Allen. We know that Brian Cook is going to play a ton. I don't think Jordan Battle's in that late. Dax Hill and DJ Turner are both going to play a ton. Battle's a tier below, and he's going to have to show, hey, I am that guy, and I am going to benefit from Brian Cook, and I am going to have a career year, and you guys have to pay me or someone else will. I think that's where he's at. And it's a very similar spot to where Cam Taylor-Britt was a year ago, where he was in the final year of his rookie deal. And it's different scenarios. I don't mean off the field, anything like that. I mean strictly from have to prove yourself, hey, show the Bengals, show the rest of the NFL that I'm worth it, a long-term contract.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great situation for Jordan Battle to prove that this year. A corner duo that's as strong as it's been in a long time, a great safety next year in Brian Cook, and then a defensive line that should provide more pressure than he's had in his career so far on this Bengals defense. So that's another thing that I think helps him in this sense is that he doesn't have as many outside factors that can affect his play now this season. Now, puts a lot more on his plate. Not a lot of excuses for a poor quarterback room or a lack of pressure or anything along those lines that leads to, bad play. And I think maybe an unintended consequence or benefit of bringing Kyle Duggar in isn't just that he can play all over the field, that he can provide you a starting safety if Battle is rocky to start the year or anything football-wise about him. Maybe it just lights a fire under a guy you took pretty highly in the draft and has shown flashes of being a really exciting safety. If Jordan Battle attacks this offseason 2% harder because Kyle Duggar is here than if he wasn't, then it's a great signing if it gets more out of him and it helps the safety room anyway. So I think there's a lot of benefits that Kyle Duggar can have to this safety room, whether he's playing or not. I think they can be for Jordan Battle, whether he's starting ahead of him or he's helping him in the locker room. So it's a great signing. In my mind, I still imagine the best case scenario for this Bengals team is that it's Jordan Battle and it's Brian Cook, and that lasts all year long.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what plays out. There's going to be a few different position battles that we're not thinking about. I think this is one. Maybe Bobby Wagner is another one. That's what Marisa wants, but we're going to switch gears now. It's time to discuss Hunter Green. He's back. Will he be all the way back this weekend? That and our Reds preview next right here on First Word.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
We welcome you from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Nick Hadley, the fan favorite, to put it away. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, what a catch. The Cincinnati Reds score. Dalton scores and the Reds
win. You're putting me in this position, and I'm going to do it because I need to do it. It's Patrick Mahomes is better than Joe Burrow because he's proven it for far more years. He's done more. His ceiling is higher. And you look at it, he's played at least 14 games every year he started. After that rookie year where he sat behind Alex Smith and learned behind him and he started that one game, since then it's 14 plus. So he's been durable. And that's what's tough. Like, yeah, his numbers have dipped over the past few years. And do I think in a vacuum Joe Burrow could be the better quarterback? Absolutely. He's got to prove it. Doesn't have the rings, doesn't have the MVPs, and hasn't had the durability. Would it be different if he was in Kansas City and Mahomes was here? Probably, but it's not. This is it. And I think Joe would probably admit that too. Like, he has to prove it this year. And do I think that on the surface he can be the number one quarterback on the planet where this isn't debatable next year? Absolutely. Can I hold Patrick Mahomes coming back from an ACL when Joe Burrow's had all these other injuries? I'm not going to hold that against him. I think his weapons have been far worse over the past couple of years. Yes, he has Andy Reid. He has a more stable franchise. There's no doubt. They've been more consistent, and we're consistent going into the Mahomes era. It would have been like if the Bengals drafted Joe in 2016, coming off of that 2015 run, and that roster was about to hit its prime, and then Joe takes over. It would have been a bit different. The way he inherited it, Mahomes did from Alex Smith. So I get that. Joe has the ability, and I believe he can be the best player on the planet. And I believe Zach Taylor when he says, there's no one else I would rather have than Joe Burrow. But when I look at their resumes, one is Patrick Mahomes' resume. One has been more durable. One has won more. One has more accolades. And then the other is Joe Burrow. And I can't run from that, even though I do think that in a vacuum, Joe could be better than Patrick Mahomes this season.
Cincinnati, home to more than a dozen Fortune 500 companies. A city where you know someone who knows someone, and you're in business. Every weekday at noon, The Working Lunch brings you headlines from local businesses, along with exclusive interviews with owners and local leaders. East Side, West Side, northern suburbs, downtown over the Rhine, and northern Kentucky. Real conversations, real Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley. Weekdays at noon, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network. Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you these stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, every single weekday, 7 to 11.
Right here on the Crown.
Let's keep it rolling with some Hunter Green conversation, and Marisa, very guarded, not always open. Jamar Chase, always open. Hunter Green, will he be always open? Will we declare on Monday that Hunter Green is always open? Handling business and dealing. Don't be all, you're going to overanalyze this.
What does it mean?
What do you mean?
What does a pitcher being always open even mean?
It sounds like always open,
It
like
almost
always
sounds
open
bad.
for hits, home run. Yeah. It's
a
I'm
mindset.
with him on this one.
Shocker. Right? What do you mean?
It sounds like
I'm with him on
if
this
the
one.
pitcher is
Play it
open,
on
it
loop,
sounds
Paul.
negative.
No, it does.
Because the positive for a pitcher would be closing the game.
Like,
I knew you were going to overanalyze it. It's just a mindset. It's just a mindset.
It's just a mindset.
Adam Bound gets it.
I want his mindset to be closing.
Adam got no.
Always close.
Adam is definitely on my team here. Pulisic is on your team.
We're gonna have to pull
your
the team for you.
This is the Christian
That is the most
Pulisic defender.
wildest thing I think you've
Christian
ever
Pulisic
said.
over here. That's what you
Wild.
has a hangnail. Misses 3 weeks.
I do need to know though, because obviously you get so excited and so
I do.
happy
I
when
do.
Chase Burns is on the mound.
I do.
Burns Day, Hunter Green Day.
Oh gosh, it's not even. Don't even
Which one-
try
what
to.
are we more
Going into the
excited for?
fourth, it was very close. It is not anymore.
No.
I said it after Saturday.
close?
The 4th of July was as much as I've looked forward to a game in a long time this year. It was Hunter Green was returning. It was supposed to be a big time, fun game at the ballpark. Hunter Green allowed 8 runs through 3 innings. That has knocked down my excitement for his start. It hasn't knocked down my belief in Hunter Green and what he can be at some point this year for this team. But I don't know that he's going to be Hunter Green tonight. And I don't know if he's going to be Hunter Green for his next few starts. I think that's always a concern when you have a pitcher coming back from especially elbow surgery like this. But it was really, really bad in his first start of the year. So the excitement isn't as high as it normally is for Hunter Green starts tonight.
Yeah. Let's start here. Confidence level in Hunter Green, 1 to 10.
7.
7 for you. That's pretty good.
That's where I was going to be like a 6 or a 6-7, because I think he's going to bounce back from what he had when he was on 4th of July.
You want to say 6?
Well, 6.5.
She can't even be semi-non-optimistic, even when she was going to say 6. She was like, wait, Jacob said 7, so I can go up.
Yeah, he's not going to be more optimistic than me. Like, no shot.
All
Well,
right.
even though you technically are.
My optimism. So is it, and I asked the question, optimism that he goes 6, gives a quality start?
Quality start, yes.
4.
Oh, my gosh.
That seems really low.
That's so low.
Prove it. It's a good lineup. Division game. They stink it up. A lot to prove. It's not like an easy spot.
No,
a lot of pressure. Just like the 4th, it feels like must win's the wrong word, but if you're pitching every 5th day and you're 8 games under 500, they're all going to feel like must wins. Could he do it? Yeah, of course. I think he can. Is more than capable. Am I confident, bullish, like that he's just going to ball out tonight?
The reason why I was so shocked about his first start of the year and the 8 earned runs wasn't necessarily because he struggled coming back from an elbow injury in his first start. It was because that doesn't happen to Hunter Green at Great American Ballpark. That was the biggest thing for me. Last season, he started 11 games at Great American Ballpark last season when he was a Cy Young contender, one of the best pitchers in baseball when he was healthy. He hit a 1.58 ERA at Great American Ballpark in 68 innings with a 140 batting average against. He wasn't just winning games. He wasn't just dominating games on the mound. They couldn't get the ball on the bat when he was pitching. It was his best season he's had of his career last year, and it's certainly the best he's looked at Great American Ballpark. And I think that is something to hold on to as a Reds fan. It's hard to pitch in Great American Ballpark. It's hard to be a starting pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. You're going to start more games in the easiest hitting park in the league than anywhere else. It's very difficult, and Hunter Green has found a way to become a consistent ace starting 10-plus games in Great American Ballpark when he's healthy. I think his level of comfortability on the mound with the fences that are that short is something you can't find in a lot of guys. So the fact that he's done it and had so much success on this field, I think it will help it'll kind of speed this along a little bit to get him back to true form.
And the Cubs do have a good lineup. It's going to be a tall task for Hunter tonight. I mean, the Cubs are hitting collective .412 slugging percentage-wise. That's 8th best in the majors. PCA leads the way with almost a .300 batting average, and Dansby Swanson is having another really solid year. He has 5 home runs in his last 10 games. He's 13 for 38 in that span. And I know Hunter is coming back from the injury, but I always love to take a look at, what has history told me? How has he stacked up over the course of his career? Well, you look at the numbers. The Cubs' lifetime are batting .171 as a team against Hunter Green. And those two guys, PCA just 1 for 11 against Hunter Green. Dansby Swanson 0 for 14.
Yeah, it's certainly great to hear. But one name in the Cubs lineup, I don't care how he's hitting right now, it's Ian Happ. Every time he plays in Cincinnati, he seems to hit a home run. So hopefully he won't be in the Cubs lineup today.
He's only 2 for 19 against Hunter.
We'll take it.
If there's one guy I'm rooting for,
I know.
I called some of his games. It's crazy that he's in the league.
Yeah, and incredibly productive.
And in the moment, he was a freshman when I was senior, I believe. And so he was like a baby. And so for him, like, he had his like starting to break out year as a freshman, and we were like, oh. Like, he's really good.
Oh, yeah.
And then by the time he got to senior year at UC, it was like, oh, he's going to be picked. Or wherever did he? I don't even know if he made it to a senior year. But awesome. Regardless, I will smile if Ian Happ hits a home run. He's a Bearcat.
Usually does. So
a Bearcat.
That's nice. One thing I did want to point out before the Cubs came into town is Krall Armstrong struggles against Hunter Green. He has been unbelievable so far this year. Last night, depending on where you look at WAR, he passed Shohei Ohtani for the league lead in individual player WAR last night. They both have 6. Some sites give 2 decimal points. Krall Armstrong slightly above Shohei, which is just unbelievable when you think about a guy who's just playing one position. And that sounds crazy to say, but Shohei has such an advantage on the WAR landscape of things, being a starting pitcher and being one of the best DHs in the game. Krall Armstrong is right there as well. In the last 30 days, he's hitting .400 with a .500 on-base percentage. He's slugging .1,300. It's unbelievable what he's been able to do this year, and doing it at such a young age, just 24 years old, is really, really impressive. There's a lot of exciting young stars in the Central right now.
Yeah, he is certainly one of them. I hate looking at the numbers when they, show a massive improvement, but just from his numbers from a year ago, his batting average up, from a .247 to a .296, and he's only 10 home runs below his number in total from last year, and even RBIs wise too, he is 40 off of his number from last year. So.
Guess who's a free agent? Ian Happ. Oh.
They get a second shot?
I mean, you could have Schwarber and Happ and just steal the Cubs. Like, just take all of the former Cubs that have local ties.
That'd be perfect.
I mean, it's from Pittsburgh, by the way, but went to UC. Upgraded there. Downgraded going to Chicago. Maybe he can come back. You never know.
No, that would be a great addition.
Foreshadowing to what could be discussed this offseason. And that. But part of why you guys were really optimistic about this Cubs series, and it stinks because yesterday at this time we were saying, hey, if Brady Singer gets it done, then you're rolling into this Cubs series. You've won 2 of 3 ahead of the All-Star break, and you feel good about these matchups. Hunter Green today, if he pitches well, then you have 2 guys in Lodolo and Abbott that have been pitching well. That Abbott has pitched well since May 1 when the slide started, and Lodolo is certainly coming around.
Yeah, we talked about yesterday Brady Singer having a quality start, and we're like, oh, if he gives up 2 or 3 runs, keep this Reds team. Well, he was better than that. He only gave up 1 run. He was just absolutely sensational. That should have been enough to have gotten the win last night. And so, yeah, you look on paper, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott. This should, on paper, be a series win, given those starting pitchers, but you just have the big question mark still looming around this Reds offense.
It's nice to have Hunter Green back for one reason and one reason only. You can look at a 3-game series that Chase Burns isn't pitching in and find a way for the Reds to win it. And I think that's a huge thing for them rolling into the All-Star break, and why tonight does carry a lot of weight for me is because this is the last time we'll see Hunter Green pitch for over a week. And I think that does affect the dialogue that'll be had at the time. I mean, if he's started 2 games before this All-Star break and they're both not great, it's going to be a long All-Star break talking about Hunter Green in a negative light. If he can come out tonight and be Hunter Green and shove against a good Cubs lineup and get the Reds a win, or do what Brady Singer did last night and pitch really well and the Reds fall anyway, then I think the conversation around Hunter Green completely eliminates that start against the Orioles. And it's just, okay, first start back, he looked great against the Cubs, now we're rolling into the second half. So this start tonight for Hunter Green is going to determine the discourse for the next 10 days or so.
Yeah, I agree, because if he let's say he gives up 6 in 4 innings tonight. On Monday, we're going to be like, hey, should they have even brought him back? Did they rush him back? Because there was some post-All-Star break discussion with Hunter Green, at least from us.
Absolutely.
And so if he goes out there, struggles again after what he did on the 4th, that's going to be a real conversation for sure that we have Monday. In fact, let's put it in show flow now. Confidence level in Hunter Green, reaction to Hunter Green, however we want to phrase it.
Hopefully it's high.
We're going to do it Monday. I hope so. I want some hope.
I know.
I also want an Ian Happ home run. I can't believe I'm going to say that 3 different times.
Don't want one. You can be happy if it happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't root for one.
I don't want him to get out. He doesn't even know who I am.
Yes, you do.
He doesn't even know who I am.
Please,
what am I
get out.
What are we doing?
Why am I doing this?
Since when was Ian Happ your favorite baseball player of all time?
First time I think I've ever heard you mention
Well,
it.
yeah, why would I? Why would I?
They've played the Cubs already this year.
But it hasn't come up. You guys brought him up. One of you two did.
Exactly. You're the one
And then
that's
I was like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reminded me of my favorite player of all time.
Of all time. The jersey is upstairs.
Yeah, they didn't already play a series against the Cubs.
We'll make our picks for this weekend series against the Cubs, plus a ton to get to in our Cincy Sports forecast next, right here on First Word.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch, Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. First Word for your morning sports, Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, the working lunch for business that hits home, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Speculation with free agency starting today that LeBron could team up with Steph Curry in Golden State and make me a very, very happy as a Steph Curry fan. Very, very excited. Meanwhile, Marisa Contipelli is about to walk off the set just with the idea and the thought of LeBron going to Golden State.
You know, oftentimes you can be dramatic and exaggerate things. You're not right now. This would literally be my nightmare as a Cavalier fan. I think I might boycott the NBA if LeBron somehow ends up in Golden State.
Oh my God, you can't boycott them. We're going to talk NBA here, Marissa. You can't boycott.
Not if LeBron's in Golden State. I can't
She
do
just
it.
ignores the NBA
as a whole. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, they'd probably play all 82 games on national television, so it'd be hard to avoid them throughout the season. Yeah, all I care about as we roll into NBA free agency is number 5. It's getting LeBron that 5th ring. And
Curry number 5.
Best chance to do it for both of them is to play together. So I would love to see him run for it. I would love to go chase number 5, and it's a pretty dangerous proposition to have James and I on the same side during NBA season this year.
Where's the broom?
Do we switch spots for NBA?
I think so. No, but I am all in on the Steph, Draymond, 80 LeBron Warriors.
My name is James Rapien, and I host First Word every weekday morning, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. Prior to joining The Crown Network, I covered the Bengals for Sports Illustrated for 6 seasons. I also am the founder of Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube and wrote the book, Enter the Jungle, A History of the Cincinnati Bengals. Couldn't be more excited to join you every weekday morning for First Word right here on The Crown.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Woo-wee! Fired up on a Friday.
No, that's Ric Flair.
No, that's woo!
There we go.
You knew it would get me? You do it. Woo!
I don't know what's happening right now.
I had a lot of money in my head on her not doing it. Woo! We're rolling on a Friday here. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot, a.k.a. Jacob Triscuit, a.k.a. Jacob Biscuit, a.k.a. in case you missed it, we had plenty on today's show, including Clay Snowden on the future of Nick Krall, on the Red struggles, on what they should do next. We're going to post that on our YouTube page after the show ends. And if you missed our conversation on the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, CJ French, the state of the program, everything like that, well, at 11:15, Dan Horde and our conversation on all things Bearcats coming up on our YouTube channel right here on First Word. But there's a baseball game tonight. Did you know that?
Yes.
There's a baseball game tonight. Hunter Green on the mound. Ian Happ in the batter's box. Who wins tonight? Cubs, Reds.
I'm 10 out of 10 confidence. It's the Reds. Hunter Green's going to strike Ian Happ out 4 times.
There you go.
I don't even feel any type of way about Ian Happ. Now Hunter Green's going to complete game.
Yeah,
strike Ian Happ out 15 times.
Now you just
I'm
hate
out
him.
on Ian Happ.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Yeah, I have no idea if he's nice or not. I haven't known him in 15 years.
I thought you were close personal friends the way you talk about Ian
Favorite
Happ.
all-time player ever to
13
play the
years.
game.
You guys are talking all this trash. Clip it, Josh, when they sign him in free agency.
What trash are we talking?
If they sign him in free agency, I'll love him forever.
There you go. Clip that. You can use that for everybody.
For everybody.
If they sign him
All we're saying is that we have more confidence in Hunter Green than Ian Happ probably tonight. And I think Reds are going to get the series win this weekend.
Yeah, I think Hunter Green, I'll have confidence in Hunter Green until he gives me a big enough sample size not to. And I think at this point, the worry is just that he struggles again in his second start. It's not some kind of big concern about Hunter Green, the pitcher. It's just that he's battling through an elbow surgery. And now this is the second start of the year. He probably got back a little sooner than he needed to because this team needs to win baseball games. So he's always committed to helping this team win any way he can. Never question that about Hunter Green. And it's always exciting to see him back on the mound. So great to see him out there tonight against the Cubs.
Yeah. Excited for Hunter Green. Hopefully they get it done. I'm not nearly as confident as Marisa that they're going to win this series. They were in position to win the Philly series. And that's what's so frustrating about this team. I'll take the Cubs taking 2 out of 3, but maybe Hunter gets it done tonight. Maybe you guys are starting to win me over a little bit with the Hunter Kool-Aid.
Hunter and your boy get it done. Hunter and Abby get it done.
There we go.
Oh, I wasn't sure. Okay.
No, I knew you were talking about Reds. I was wondering. Yeah, All-Star Andrew. I get it. He's been pitching well.
Nick Lodolo's been pitching well, too.
So Lodolo doesn't get it done.
He's been too good.
Don't say it. No, we're not
honestly,
going there.
I'm not even worried about the starting pitching. It is hilarious that Hunter Green has a 21.6 ERA. That's just so funny.
Yeah. No, it's not.
3 touchdowns. Touchdown, Jamar Chase. I will say, though, that, pretty confident in both Lodolo and Abbott. I think they're going to lose because of their bats, which we just saw last night.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating thing is we've gotten to the point in the season where the rotation looks like the rotation was supposed to look, and it's keeping them in almost every single game, and the lineup's just not there.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Not a Schwarber away.
They'd be much better with the Schwarber. They would have won yesterday with Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, and they're probably still in the 78 to 83 that they've been in for the last 5 years.
They're not in that right now. They're in the. Are they a 71 team right now?
What's Valley?
Peaks and valleys.
No peaks.
Still valleying. We are excited about tonight because we're going to the FC Cincinnati match against Burnley. Big one. Really, really
Crown
big
Crew
one.
takes TQL.
Yep, really excited for that, and we'll share a little bit more on that. But before we do that, Evander, not Holyfield, discussing with the Queen City Press what they did during this World Cup break.
Yeah, I think in general it was good for the whole team to get a break. I think we're not in our best moment. We were struggling a bit. We struggled a little bit in the beginning of the season, but I think it was the break came in the right time to refresh the mind and refresh the body to come back even stronger for the second part of the season.
What do you feel like needs to change? Do you feel like you guys have some new ideas that might help? Is it still kind of developing as?
I think we've been working on adjusting the things that we were doing and not working so well. So we've been adjusting those things, especially when we don't have the ball, because we've conceded a lot of goals, and we are a team that last year we didn't concede so many, and this season we've been conceding a lot. So I think we are adjusting those type of things. Also, the defensive set pieces we've been working a lot to become a stronger team and on defensive side and adjust the things with the ball. I think we've been scoring a lot of goals, but we need to keep working on that to create even more chances and score more goals.
Are you looking forward to playing a different opponent with Burnley coming on Friday? Coming to TQL.
It's gonna be interesting, a European team, a team that used to play Premier League and is a strong opponent. So I think it's gonna be interesting to get some more experience to see as well the level that we are comparing to a Premier League team. So it's gonna be interesting, and of course, get the minutes again to get ready for the MLS.
Good stuff there from Evander and our friends at the Queen City Press. Laura Failer obviously crushing it on the FC Cincinnati coverage. And a fun match tonight that we will be at.
Yes, we will. I am so excited for us to get over to TQL and to see FC Cincinnati back in action. It's been so long during this World Cup break, and we had Tommy G on the show earlier this week and previewed a little bit about it. So it'll be interesting to see who plays for FC Cincinnati, which of the starters, how long they stay out there, because as Tommy G told us, they got to try to get back into form because MLS action will resume for FC Cincinnati on July 22nd.
Jacob is not getting a James break this weekend at all. So we're going to FC Cincinnati tonight. Tomorrow, watching Connor.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor back. Does he get it done?
I think so. I think so. And it's going to be hard for me to ever pick against Conor when he's back and doing his whole thing. I mean, he might not be the best fighter of all time, but he's certainly the best press conference guy of all time. And when he gets on the mic, it's really good. And you see right there, this is going to be a fun one.
Yep, that's going to be fun. The World Cup is going to be fun as well. Who will advance? Will Messi continue? Will Holland get it done? Brock Lesnar. We'll see. Look at that. We tied UFC and the World Cup together. Have a great weekend. If you missed any part of the show, make sure you check us out on the First Word YouTube channel. And for the entire First Word crew, including Paulie Scoops, a.k.a. Paulie Can't Catch, Jacob Tissot, Marisa Contipelli, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching and listening to First Word.